It's Monday, the 18th of November 2024. Good morning and welcome to the AM show. It is also just 19 more days to go for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. This is your election headquarters on the AM show, and we will keep you up to speed on everything happening in the lead up to the elections. Now, this morning, of course, we'll start by serving you the AM news, the latest update on all stories that matter to you here in the country. After that, we'll sit with our guests to review the newspapers. Today being a Monday, Nanaya Chapim Jantua, former General Secretary of the CPP, will be joining us, as well as George Aisi, he's Director of Communications for NADMO, both joining us to review the newspapers. And after that, Muftan Abil Abdullahi will bring you AM Sports, where he brings you the latest chronicles from the world of sports. Now today, for our big stories, of course, we'll start from that constitutional crisis. Whether or not you believe it's a constitutional crisis, it is deepening as General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nkedia, is urging their members of Parliament never to show up in Parliament should there be any recall, casting doubts whether Parliament is able to sit before December 7th. Remember, it's just 19 days to go. What are the implications for the economy, governance, and our democracy? There are so many businesses that Parliament must sit on before this year ends. We will delve into these issues and many more. Also, Ghana's recorded 34,000 new HIV infections in the first 9 months of this year, and it's raising serious concerns about the country's progress in tackling this epidemic. Now, despite numerous interventions, it looks like the number keeps increasing. With just 14 days to mark World AIDS Day, we'll talk to the Ghana AIDS Network on what we are doing differently, or what we should be doing differently to stem the alarming tide. And then, of course, today is Monday, and so we'll bring you the latest in our feature series, Streets of Despair. And today, we'll take you to Kaneshie, First Light, specifically here in Greater Accra region, where children, some as young as 10 years old and far from their homes in Niger and Nigeria, are fighting to survive. What really is their life out there on these streets of despair? Folks, you want to join us with your comments and your thoughts? Right now, from now to 10 a.m., you can go onto our social media handles. We are Joy News on TV. And hopefully, at the tail end of the show, when we open the phone lines, you get to call in and have your say. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I always do this with Benjamin Akapo. Please stay with us. Let's start serving you the AM news. This is the AM News. Let's get right into it. Now, a young girl with end-stage kidney failure, Rosemary Boydu, will begin her pre-transplant workup on Thursday after CEO of Engineers and Planners, Ibrahim Mahama, paid $25,000 required for her surgery. Ahead of this, Rafik Mahama, the special aide to the business mogul, visited the family to offer more support. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in this report.
It was a moment of raw emotions as Rosemary's mother fell to her knees to thank Ibrahim Mahama, whose kindness has given her daughter a chance at life. The special aide to CEO of Engineers and Planners in Jetta Cement, Rafik Mahama, visited the family to wish them well ahead of the pre-transplant evaluation this week.
I was having a discussion with boss, and that's Mr. Ibrahim Mahama. So he said it's important that I come here to see them, and also before we start the process next week, so that I will see the family and also make sure that everything is fine with them before they leave for the hospital. We pray that every process that we go through in this journey, it will go well, and Rosemary will come back stronger and join her colleagues in school.
Mr. Rafik Mahama also presented 20,000 cedis to Rosemary and the mother for their upkeep.
Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, my boss, as part of the visit, he said I should please give you 20,000 cedis so that you use it for the meantime to take care of yourselves before you report to the hospital next week.
For Rosemary, after years of enduring painful dialysis session, and facing uncertain future, hope has finally found her.
Daddy, I thank you all. I really appreciate it. God bless you all for supporting me. As you care for me and support for you, my Lord in heaven will also provide for you, care for you. Bless your work. Wherever you took the money from shall be filled times 100. God bless you all. I never dream of this. I know one day I'll get out of this, but I never thought of giving. God will bless me with this such a great opportunity. God bless you all.
For Rosemary's mother, Mr. Ibrahim's relief is immeasurable.
I'm free or no. Baby, I'm 5 years and Yakopo and Bonodo. Onyano Brosomboso Emamo.
For Rosemary and her mother, the journey ahead is daunting, but they are no longer walking it alone. Thanks to Ibrahim Mahama and all who continue to support and pray for them. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Teman.
From there, let's get into our election headquarters, which is brought to you in association with Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German ozone layer, alternative therapy, dental wellness and beauty. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and AICPA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Youth Bridge Foundation, Bridging Gaps for Positive Youth Development, and Syntex Tanks, a strong, a tough, potential real estate, your trusted partner in real estate, the Luxy Paint Smooth Champion. Now, during his retail campaign at Asasetre in the Elembele constituency of the Western region, the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, emphasizes the crucial role of Parliament in Ghana's democracy. He stressed that Parliament is the backbone of Ghana's democratic system, and without it, democracy would be non-existent, urging Ghanaians to stand and defend Parliament, warning that if the institution weakens, Ghana's democracy will be doomed. Here's more.
Democracy, we Parliament free asa democracy be anybody. And until or maybe manage Kamiba Kapia Mambo as a same sorry, no Parliament home by. The Parliament who we kill Parliament here, let us say democracy no I told you, young Tracy, yet the Moja and the Apple Parliament yes you. Anti democracy, yes, you are. Yes, I'm a mean for be. I'm not trying to make a say. But the young member, I say democracy. It's in that. The parliament in the democracy. Anyway, but parliament in the and I'm not democracy. I am a Juma.
Instructed the NDC members of Parliament to boycott any emergency recall in Parliament.
The Alcoso of Parliament here, one more year control cranny, judge for Elcase, say, my decide a Juma of Parliament, one contra, a banu begunia, a baby move focal. They say, NDC MP for them. Emergency recall.
Still on Johnson Asiedu Nketia, on the other hand, he's rallying party supporters and sympathizers to vote overwhelmingly for the current NDC leadership.
The leaders are all Parliament in England. That's why I know Samra, the NDC so Yamba MPC go to Ambataho, the ultimate Congo democracy,
Moving on, some lecturers from the Simon Diodong University, calling themselves progressive intellectuals, have declared support for John Dramani Mahama and the NDC. They are conducting voter education campaigns in streets and markets to push for the party's return to power, citing unfulfilled promises and deceit by the NPP. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports.
The SDDU-based lecturers first converged at the forecourt of the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council, where they were addressed by their leadership before they embarked on the street and market campaigns. Convener and coordinator of Progressive Intellectuals, PI, at the Obates, Professor Elijah Yandao, led the charge.
Is to say that enough is enough of the lame duck regime. You all know that the economy is in shambles. The economy is ailing. The economy is sick. It's dead. We are aware the promises the MPP made to Ghanaians. It is just unconscionable to think that a party that has served this nation for good 8 years will think that Ghanaians are just so naive, they are fools to give them another mandate for another 4 years of economic stagnation. So what we are saying is that let's come together and kick this lame duck government out of what? Power.
They averred that a lot of flowery statements and lies were created by the MPP to paint John Dramani Mahama black and incompetent, making them to win political power. They posited that 8 years down the lane, they are not going to behave like ivory towers and are prepared to extricate the people from economic quagmire and servitude they have been subjected to over the years.
If you travel along the length and breadth of this country, particularly you are talking about the roads, you feel very sad for Ghana. Development is actually built upon what? Infrastructure. If we are talking about any other development, is it the social or the economic development, it must be built on what? Infrastructure development. But this government has woefully failed Ghanaians. So there is so much. In fact, they don't even have the foundation to say Mahama didn't do well.
All about family.
For me, Mahama was quietly exited, or he quietly exited the scene just to allow Ghanaians to make the comparison for themselves. The time is up now for us to make the comparisons. And nobody can even belabor the point that these guys don't even have anything to show for the past 8 good years that they have been in power.
A former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Ajimand Akosa, has strongly criticized the recent cholera outbreak, describing it as a glaring public health failure that demands urgent attention. Now, the outbreak, confirmed by the Ghana Health Service, has already claimed a number of lives in affected areas. Speaking at the 9th congregation of Ensign Global College in Kpong, Eastern Region, Professor Akosa attributed the crisis to poor sanitation and a lack of leadership in enforcing cleanliness at the local level. He called for intensified efforts to promote hygienic practices and expand the training of public health professionals to tackle such diseases in the country. Carlos Caloni has the rest of the story.
Celebrating a decade of contributing to Ghana's public health sector, Ensign Global College has graduated 28 new professionals with master's degrees in public health, equipping them with skills to confront emerging public health challenges head-on. Addressing the press, Professor Ajimand Akosa, a board member of Ensign Global College and former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, expressed deep concern over the recent cholera outbreak in the country, attributing it to a leadership void and poor adherence to public health standards at the local level.
For a public health institution is a disease of major public health significance, and therefore it is. Our duty is to promote cleanliness, good hygienic practices. For us, it is a question of leadership, it's a question of professionalism, it's a question of innovation. And therefore, these things are really things that we thought we had dealt with so many years ago. And yet, it keeps coming up. And it's certainly a major concern to, of course, a school that emphasizes on public health. Of course, we're training the public health professionals who should be dealing with it. And I know they're dealing with it. But it is the cascading down to the individual. That is where the point is. Hygienic practices should be inculcated into every Ghanaian.
President of Ensign Global College, Professor Stephen Alder, also voiced serious concerns about allegations of expired rice distributed to schools, calling it a major threat to public health progress and urging stricter oversight to prevent recurrence.
We have watched with concern as cases of cholera have been detected
in the region, in Ghana. We've watched and seen the issues related to not only expired food, but counterfeit medications, all sorts of things that are going to undermine efforts to keep people healthy and well. Of course, prosperity starts with health. And as a public health institution, it's our commitment to work to do our best to train competent professionals who are going to go out and protect the public's health, who can help with the regulatory bodies, with the response bodies, with the health system. All of these things have to come together. When we see issues like we've seen this week, it means that something has slipped through, and we've got to figure out why it occurred, and we've got to correct that for the future.
Governing board member Togbe Afede the 14th commended Enzyme Global College for its transformative contributions to public health, emphasizing the institution's growing impact in shaping healthier communities.
You can see how fast this school has developed. It has created a great public, health professionals who are making impact, making differences across, various communities. And I'm also happy that our programs have been ranked, very highly, not only in Ghana. We are ranked above even a lot of similar programs in the United States itself. And that for me is great.
The Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend Intim Fojo, is calling for a renewed focus on teacher motivation, emphasizing its critical role in enhancing the quality of education nationwide. Reverend Fojo made this statement during a ceremony to award teachers in the Asin South constituency on the theme, Inspiring Greatness, Celebrating the Asin South Finest Teacher. There's more in this report by Central Regional Correspondent Eric Asante.
The Deputy Minister of Education and Member of Parliament for Asin South constituency, Reverend Intim Fojo, has emphasized the critical need to prioritize teacher motivation to improve educational outcomes. Reverend Intim Fojo made this call at a ceremony to award teachers in the Asin South constituency. According to the Member of Parliament, the program aimed to encourage teachers to do their best and be at the forefront of grooming leaders for the next generation.
What motivated me to set up this award? I was born in this district. I was born in a small village, as all of us know, Asin Krua. Asin Krua is one of the most remote parts of this district. At the time I was born, there was no potable drinking water, there was no electricity, there was no telecommunication access. Our road was hardly accessible. Growing from that remote part of Ghana, I stand before you today humbly serving as a Deputy Minister and Member of Parliament because I had teachers who accepted posting to teach me in my village. I wish some of them were here today. Today, there are many such Intim Fojos in our remote villages all over the country, and in particular this district. And the opportunity for them to also contribute meaningfully to our socio-economic pursuits is hinged on the dedication of a teacher. Without a teacher in Asin Krua, without the teacher in Asin Manso, without the teacher who taught me in University of Mines and Technology, I wouldn't have had this future I have today. So the teacher deserves every honor there is, and the teacher deserves every celebration. The teachers are agents of transformation. I always say that the Ghanaian teacher is the best in the world, and our Asin South teacher is the best in Ghana.
The event was at
In other stories, the British Council consultant on the VAT Toolbox program, Ibrahim Safo, has asserted that Ghana has no funding system that supports apprenticeship. He said in other jurisdictions, industry has a levy fund that is to support apprentices with stipends for transportation and accommodation to enable them undergo practical training. This, he believes, if adopted by Ghana, will help students learn on the job. He made these remarks at the British Council TVET Closure Policy Dialogue meeting in Tamale.
The VET Toolbox project is a project with the objective of supporting partner countries in the design of national vocational education and training and employment strategies aimed at strengthening their VET service delivery systems. Speaking to the media at the vet closure policy dialogue in Tamale, the British Council consultant on the Vet Tools Board project, Abraham Safo, said Ghana needs to invest in its human capital to equip its human resources.
We have a challenge for work experience lending funding in Ghana, not only in Ghana, but a lot of countries. But if you go to other countries, they have system where industries contribute to fund apprenticeships or young people who want to undertake practical training. For example, in South Africa, they have a levy system where employers contribute parts into that, and from that they are able to use it to fund people to go to places. They pay their stipends, they sometimes even pay their accommodation. So they go, even though they are students, they get opportunity to work on the job. Ghana, we don't have that funding. So schools just send learners to places. They give them a sheet and say, go for internship. How the person moves to the workplace in this economic situation, very difficult. This program, because of the funding from the EU through British Council, was able to send these young people to these farms. And not that they went there, they stayed with these commercial farmers. Throughout a period of 2 months, they were being taken care of, their stipends were paid, and they stayed and learned the practical part.
A senior project manager at Vet Toolbox at the British Council said even though there is a huge potential in the Ghanaian youth, there is limited resources.
Look at the youth. Now let's get into our business updates with Benjamin Akakbo.
They need in order to get into work.
Its interest in some two international mining firms in the country. These firms, Cardinal Mining and Newmont Achim, have been acquired by international firms after several attempts to get domestic investors to acquire a majority interest failed. Now, speaking to Joy Business at a Meet the Press session in Accra, Chief Executive for the Minerals Income and Investment Fund, Edward Nanayao-Kranting, disclosed that all was not yet lost as the firm was making efforts to get more shares and interests from these mining companies.
When it comes to investment, there are certain considerations that you need to take. You know, Achim is a producing mine. We have the valuation of Achim as it is right now. There are certain parts of the Achim transaction that we sort of disagree with when it comes to valuation. Those are conversations that we're having. But you must also know that with the Namdini or Cardinal, they started really from Greenfield. Sometimes, you need to take into consideration the risk at that point and how the company is even being valued, etc. But at the point, like I mentioned, we couldn't go in that early point because MIF was not on its legs. Now, with the new valuation coming out from Namdini and it starting production, we need to sit back and really assess. But it doesn't mean that we are not going to look at Namdini. You see, with Achim, it was important, or it is important, because the president really wanted significant Ghanaian interest in the Achim mine, it being a producing mine. Unfortunately, even though we supported significant Ghanaian interests at that time.
And that's it for business this morning. Handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
Thank you, Ben. Let's get ready for our news review segment. Nanaya Chapim Jantwa is former General Secretary of the CPP. She's joining us, as well as George AC, Director of Communications for NADMO. Please stay. We're back in a bit.
Welcome back. It's time now for the news review, and our guests are lined up. I'll start with my in-house guest, Sweetie Abochi. She's here with us. We also have George AEC, Director of Communications. He's with NADMO. He joins the conversation. And then we also have Nanaya Achipim Jantua, who is a former General Secretary of the CPP. She's also here with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sweetie?
Hi, Ben. Nanaya, I want to start with you this morning. What would be your 2-minute take for us?
2 minutes take?
Yeah.
In Ghana.
You can make it 1 minute, 30 seconds. We'd appreciate it.
Okay. Well, the shorter the better, huh?
We are not going anywhere.
Okay.
Ghana is not doing well.
Why do you say that?
Oh, my dear. Everything is... Look, even the filth. It's as if nobody is in control. You are talking about cholera, but there's filth everywhere. And it beats my imagination, I keep saying it. That who is making sure that we clear this filth? Who is making sure that you don't even make the filth? I woke up one morning and I found rubbish in front of my house. Do you get me? And I found out, and they said they normally do that, especially when they notice that you always clear your rubbish. So that when you are clearing, you add on. Do you understand? So there should be avenues for us to clear waste. Ben, it's a bit, everything it's as if, even the driving on the roads, it's as if nobody is in control. It's as if nobody cares. You be driving and the motor rider will just get in front of you from nowhere.
I mean, there's all of that. I've always said, for example, that when you're entering, let's say, a turn or something, how people, instead of being in their proper lane, they veer into the next lane. It happens everywhere, I don't know. But you must also give some credit to the Ghana Police Service. You see a lot more of them on the streets. You know, sometimes when you go somewhere and you're coming late, you see a lot. I think all of these are good. In many places now, I see many more police officers, the visibility teams, right? They are there, and at least I think it reduces some of the nonsense we would have been seeing on the road. That is it. Those jumping red lights. I mean, in some places, you know that if you see someone doing that, they would likely be arrested. Around Accra Girls, in some parts of airport, in some coming from Lagos. I mean, I could mention many places. Yeah. But on the other hand, when you talk about rubbish, what role do what role should we play?
The junction thing that caused this accident for the kids. I'm even working with road safety for us to do something about it, but I may be busy. People just get to the junction, instead of them waiting, they just run into the street.
Wait, honk, see whether
they
are literally jumping into the street without.
So if you have the right of way, if you are not careful, then what happens? You might hit somebody. I just don't. I look at the indiscipline on the road, indiscipline everywhere, and I wonder what's going on.
That's why you say we are not going anywhere.
Are we going anywhere?
Let me throw that to George then. George.
Yes,
share your thoughts with us this morning. What's top of your mind?
Let me say good morning to you both, and good morning to our viewers. The peace we enjoy, all is not gloomy as Nanaya wants us to believe. We are in a very peaceful country. We are all geared up preparing for elections in 19 days. People have the freedom, the opportunity to sell their message, to go anywhere and everywhere, in spite of the fact that we have some hot spots, clear cases, the Boku situation. That notwithstanding, there's general peace and freedom of movement across the length and breadth of the country. That is one. And another aspect, we have the National Peace Council. We have the rule of law. We're just coming out from the Supreme Court and interpretation of the issues of the Constitution, the workings of the Parliament of Ghana. A lot of people are worried about what is happening. I've heard many talking about the possibility of workers not getting paid because Parliament is not. That's scary, but we believe this 19 days ahead, there's going to be good reasoning because Supreme Court has settled the matter. Will make progress. Yes.
Did you listen to Johnson Asiedu Nketia calling on his members of Parliament not to boycott Parliament?
That's part of it.
Do you believe actually seen an end to this?
Oh yeah, yes. Interpretation of the Constitution is in the bosom of the Supreme Court.
And you're not worried that Justice Tanko and a whole lot of legal luminaries have said that this decision ab initio, with the Supreme Court even taking it on, rather than what Article 99 points to the High Court, and all the processes are, so to speak, not in line with the Constitution itself, which means that depending on, and I always cite the American, Supreme Court, depending on which set of judges you have in there, this could be quashed at some point. You're not worried about that?
Well, I'm not worried about that. It's a settled case as of now. There are dissenting views as far as rulings are concerned. It's trite knowledge that the Lord Denning in Britain is...
I like the fact that you're citing Lord Denning.
is dissented severally, and later on in the legal arena, his cases have been seen as, positions of good reasoning. And I believe as we go on, we'll be having some of these things. And then in the long run, as you're saying, maybe we'll get a settled position going forward.
Okay, so for the sake of time, there's Roe versus Wade, right?
When I heard her name, one of my favorite law professors, Professor Abochi, yes, I've heard him disagreeing severally, but that's the beauty of our democracy. We have intellectuals in the arena who posit their opinions on matters. And that's...
Sweetie, before we get into the papers, I just found this interesting. You gave us that thought about the fact that maybe workers in Parliament, I have friends who work in Parliament, may not get paid because of
workers generally.
Not always government.
Because I was going to ask, I mean, that is none of their business. What is happening here?
No, not Parliament. All on government
budgets.
Right.
Right. We need to have a first quarter budget presented in November. You get it? That has not been done yet. And because of the election, whoever wins, I know who's going to win anyway.
But there are mechanisms in place for moments like this. Workers should still get paid. You can't tell me because there's no budget. That's just the point I want to make.
But it's for next year, so
exactly.
Experienced people, politicians, legal luminaries are making these statements. So it sends fear down, the spines of especially workers.
So you shouldn't also come and say it like that, because then you get more fear of it.
I get you. Let's allay the fears of the people.
Well, 19 days to go.
Yes,
as an observer of the democratic developments of this country, watching keenly, I'm curious to see how the remaining 19 days go. But let's get straight into the newspapers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. Majority to vote on policies. Voters prioritize manifestos in graphic poll. Police inaugurates 3 news stations in Eastern Region. Comes as a good call. Sign peace pact. U.S. ambassador to political parties. Explore debts for nature swaps to address galamsey, according to an expert. I want to start here. In what appears to suggest voters focus on bread and butter issues, majority of respondents in a Daily Graphic poll have indicated that their choices in the December 7th election will be based on the manifestos of the political parties. Out of 4,982 respondents in the online poll run by Graphic Online, 3,317 responded, representing 66.58% of participants, said they would vote on the basis of promises captured in the manifestos. The remaining 1,665 respondents, that is about 33.42% of the poll participants, answered no to whether manifestos would influence their votes in the December elections. If not manifestos, then what? Is it the economy? I'm going to quickly run through this paper so that we can get comprehensive views on it or reflections on it. Pope Francis suggests study into possible genocide in Gaza. Opinion says from waste to electric power, AI as tool for energy liberalization, research development as tools for national development, sign peace pact. I want to get a bit into this. So with 19 days to go for Ghana's December 7 polls, contesting political parties must commit to a peace pact as soon as possible, the United States ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, has advised. Quote, all political parties must sign the peace pact as soon as possible because that is a sure way to signal to the young people on the streets that violence in any form will not be the way to go during the elections. Let me put a pin in that story. I'll come to you shortly for your reflections on that. Dr. John Osai Kwapon expresses concern over reprinting of ballot papers for Ahafo and Volta. Defense College Studies graduate cohort of 19. NDC appeals to Odan residents, translate support into vote. CPP's manifesto dedicated to women, says the flag bearer. And ACT Foundation Ghana launches Shelter Treasury Fund. Koforidua PULC commissions 128 KWP solar equipment. Health College assists 3 health institutions. Let me see what's on the back page that could be interesting. Hearts Pep Karela in Tamale. Ghana play for pride in final AFCON game against Niger. Why did you laugh? You know, we did play for pride, didn't we? Not? So just 3 stories for me, majorly. The police inaugurating those 3 stations, majority to vote on policies that poll, and then that story about, what was it again? Virginia Palmer urging all political parties to sign that peace pact. Let me start with you, Nanaya Chepim Jantua. Because, he just finished. Ladies first, and I love listening to you. So.
And she's a good woman. She calls on me, George, how are you? It's been a while. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll first briefly talk about the CPP's manifesto.
Okay.
I mean,
says it's for women.
Yeah, because you know that the CPP has always been a party that promotes women from Kwame Nkrumah till today. I mean, it's the first party that had a woman general secretary, the first party that had a woman chairman, and we promote women, and Kwame Nkrumah did a lot with women. When we talk about our headquarters, that's the information ministry that was confiscated. It was built by Ghanaian women. So that's the manifesto that we have. Our policy and our drive is to promote the Ghanaian women, and also we have a flag bearer who is a woman, and we are very proud of it. Virginia Palmer is talking about signing a peace pact. Signing a peace pact is not a problem. There's a piece of paper that you sign. But I believe in 2020, a peace pact was signed, right? And we had 8 people dying. And what happened? I believe what is in the peace pact is very, very important. What happens if there is violence, or somebody perpetuates violence, or a party perpetuates violence? We in the CPP, we are not interested in perpetuating violence. But if 8 people died, then I believe that in the USA, if 8 people died in an election, they would investigate. They would find out and get to the bottom of it. Even if 1 person died, they would investigate. It's been 4 years, we are going into another election. A peace pact is not, I mean, if you want peace, it's not just about signing a peace pact. It's about you might not even sign a peace pact, but the commitment for you, whoever is in government, to ensure that there is peace. Because it is the government who has the machinery of, the security forces, who will be able to ensure that there is peace.
Be that as it may, Nanaya, about if it happens elsewhere, there will be investigations, people will be held to book and all that. How about the signal it sends that, young people on the streets? And I think that was the message from Virginia Palmer about what it signals to young people on the streets, that our leaders have signed this document saying that they are committed to peace in December 7th elections. Therefore, we should not pick up arms and try and, do anything out there that will mar that's commitments that they have, signed to. So, in no small way, it contributes to ensuring that young people...
If you're a politician, politics, your party is like an army.
Yeah.
The commander-in-chief of the party will send a signal to their youth to create mayhem. Young ones don't just get up and create mayhem. So that when that thing is done, then some neutral people will generally latch on that. If whoever is in charge of a political party does not give a signal, you don't just get up and say that you are causing mayhem. It does not cross their mind if the political parties are not doing it. So if you tell me that a young person would be encouraged to be peaceful because of a peace pact, I do not agree. We should even look at how we speak, what we say in our campaigns, how we talk to each other as we campaign.
Okay.
And that is what maybe infuriates them. Do you understand? We need to be reconciliatory. We need to, even say sorry to them for the situation in which they find themselves. If they are angry because they're on the street, they don't have jobs to do. They don't know what their future holds. So the point is that it is not about signing a paper. People sign marriage certificates and they divorce.
Okay.
Do you understand
right,
me? Yes.
Enoch, what would be your reflection? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, on the peace bag, the symbolism is very important. We say for the optics, it sends signals to the young ones, as you alluded to, and I agree with you. Those things are very important when people see the steps their leaders are taking to ensure that there's peace. Ghana is one nation. For us, and we need to do everything to protect the peace, the unity, the development. Elections will come and go. We have a nation to build, okay? We have to show our differences. Majority say they agree with A. A should take over the reins of administration. We wait for the next 4 years, okay? If we agree, we encourage the government. If we disagree, we criticize the government, profile alternative, and we keep going. So I agree with Palmer that we need to sign it sends the right signal. I remember, is it 4 years ago, Tumfo invited the leadership to KNUST where...
And 8 people died.
Where they signed that,
yes,
okay? Now, what are the circumstances under which people died? You know, if people make attempts to snatch ballot boxes,
they shouldn't
definitely
die.
There wouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't die because they snatch ballot boxes.
Nobody will give you a bouquet for that. You get it. Elections are serious business, and so people should be seen to be conducting themselves properly. I've been in the collation center severally. I've been a polling station agent and all that. So there are places where they tell you this place is cordoned off. You don't have access to a certain perimeter. And if you insist you want to go there, there's definitely going to be problems, okay? So in as much as we do not agree that people should lose their lives because of elections, we should also entreat our followers to be law-abiding and to go by the dictates of the rules of engagement. That is one aspect that we need. Again, as we say, well, watch a video. You may disagree, I don't know, but I've watched a video, young people saying they are Obuasi NDC people. You get it. Look what they're doing. Look at, is it any leader who is asked them to do that? No. Then a mosquito will not ask them to do that. You get it. But they themselves think it's either a win for the NDC or there should be mayhem in the country. You cannot think that way, okay? There are polls saying A, B, C. There were polls, a lot of polls putting Donald Trump behind Kamala Harris. And who is the president in the United States today?
Actually, there were not polls putting...
No.
They were.
In fact, no.
Come on, 1.9.
They were
checking 1.9.
No.
1.9.
Listen to the other person.
Yes.
Most of the polls acknowledged. In
Yes.
fact, when it was Trump, Biden, most of the polls said...
No, that was...
Just let me make a point. Let me make a point. That Trump was in the lead.
Yes.
Initially, when Harris came into the picture, there were positives, +4, +3. And then eventually, it tapered off. And before the elections, it was clear that, if anything...
You didn't read the 1.2,
Okay, you must have read different things then. What I'm trying to say is that it was more Trump's to lose, if anything, than Harris's to win.
Okay.
And that's how it turned out. So that is a wrong analogy to use in this example.
So I've seen some. I can Google it for you, don't worry.
Okay, but I mean...
And neck to neck, they made all those things. But ultimately, it is the decision of the people that matters on the day. You get it? And so you cannot say, oh, this election is yours and nothing else.
Okay, I do want you to comment.
For the sake of time, we have to make
I want you to
tracks.
comment briefly on this, but I see Nanaya was objecting in about 30 seconds. Okay, so let's... you were objecting to what you were saying about it, that you don't need a leader to tell you.
No, but the point is that, you see... these videos that we see, we need to be careful. We don't even investigate the source of it.
Right.
It can be anybody who has put that video out there, but I'm saying that typically, when it is about elections, somebody should go say that, go to this place to go do this, go do this, go do that. And I'm also saying that if somebody snatches a ballot paper, the person doesn't need a bullet in their tummy.
Okay.
Do you get me? That is why we have the security people to make sure that they get it out of the hands of the person.
All right,
and 8 people died, 8 Ghanaians. There was a 15-year-old amongst the 8. Nothing whatsoever has been done.
Thank you. I just wanted you to get that in. So you were laughing briefly before Ben comes in. Ghana play for pride. What's your reservation about that? We haven't qualified, but we are going to play for pride.
What's the meaning of that?
Well, let's get into your paper.
Today you spoke
But if you want to follow Ghana Black Stars,
yeah, Black Stars, we all supported.
Well, we have one last game. I think
it means there's nothing.
We won't win. We won't qualify.
Whether you score 1,000.
So why are we wasting our time?
Oh no, for pride.
What kind of pride is that?
Oh, okay.
These people don't break your heart.
George, let's get into your paper. So you give us the stories on the front page and pick one that piques your interest.
Okay. The Punch, it says equality and justice are requisites for peace. General Mosquito. Razak Kojo Opoku questions Mahama's 24I economy policy. Next NDC government to establish gold board to regulate SSM, Ejeba 4. 3P garlic mixture is it weight loss? Dr. Mototi. And that's it. So should I read one?
Just one.
Okay. Okay, let me read the equality justice requisites for General Mosquito. The chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Johnson Esiedun Ketia, popularly known as General Mosquito, has stated that equality and justice are the preconditions for peace. This comes as a result of the Secondary High Court lifting the injunction on the legitimacy of Joanna Jankujo to contest as the parliamentary candidate for a Memphis Central constituency on the ticket of the NDC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. You see, in the midst of what is happening, Supreme Court decision and others not having trust in the judiciary and co. There's some good stories from the bench as well, okay? There's an NDC candidate who was injuncted. They've used the same legal process and they've been able to lift the injunction and she's qualified to go contest. The Electoral Commission said it was not going to recognize her, you get it, because it has a letter from the court saying she's been injuncted. And so the right thing has been done, procedure has been followed, and the legal system, the same legal system people, especially the NDC, castigates, is giving the woman the opportunity to go and contest.
Right.
And
so
that's good news for us. Yes, that's good news for us.
Thank you. Nanaya, I think you have the Ghanaian Times.
You have the Ghanaian Times. It said the most authoritative newspaper. It says government to support National College of Defense Studies. President. Farmer jailed 18 months for stealing a petechi, the stealing pipe. My God. Oh, dear. Oh. Sweetie, can you imagine?
Let's get into it.
I mean, when I saw a petechi, they say 18 months. EC prints ballots for half Volta. We print over serialization errors, affected ballots, shredded bins. You see, this is a very unfortunate situation. We've all heard the story. I don't need to, or you want me to read it?
Which one?
This EC thing. The whole weekend.
We can talk about it.
Yes, I mean, we know what has happened. And it's unfortunate. The EC should be up and doing, because we are not going to entertain such errors in the upcoming elections. We are sitting here talking about peace, but if there is equality, justice, this is what we are looking. What's the meaning of this? That only Volta region and a half regions have errors. Why? In 2020, the election was called out 5 times. You don't know which is the correct figure till today. You went to court. Yes.
You do.
I don't know.
But is this not an honest mistake on the side of
how can you? There are certain things that you cannot make a mistake with, because it is about the soul of a nation. It's about the sanctity of a nation. Do you get me? Because if you have been asked to do this, then you need to be very, 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 very careful and circumspect. How can this happen? Serialization. I think that maybe the EC is not ready to work.
No, the good news is that it is the auditing system of the EC so that identifies.
But I don't like the good news. How did it happen? because always there's some good news when there's an error. Maybe we need an interim EC to take us to the election.
Oh.
Yes, I'm serious.
I don't think we've got 19 days.
About
19 days to
we have an
My dear, please. We have wasted time for too long. And we don't know what is going. You see, there have been errors when we're doing the limited voter registration. There were issues. When we're doing the district level elections, there were issues. They extended it to the next day. You remember, and people couldn't go and vote anymore. And this one too, we are having issues. Last week there was issues with the register when the political parties were talking about the statistics that is needed. That one wasn't available. Now they said they have provided it.
They did provide it.
So now we are all happy. Then you bring this. So what is going to come next week? What is going to come on the morning of the elections? Okay. Seriously, we've been too quiet over this EC, and this is what we are seeing.
Nanaya, an interim EC is not even. It's not even constitutional.
I am. Whether it's constitutional or not, there is. Please let me finish.
You've made your point.
No, please. Even if it's not constitutional, there is also something called convenience for the sake of the nation. This is unacceptable.
And I agree with you, but I'm saying what you're proffering is unconstitutional. However,
we have wasted too much time. By now, we should have done it.
Has shown itself to be fraught with errors in terms of some.
Why?
I think it's unnecessarily problematic ahead of the elections. And my question there, though, at whose cost are we going to reprint these? There are problems with serialization and the rest.
How did that happen?
Taxpayers' cost, So this could have been avoided because we are going to spend many more millions on reprinting this.
So if I'm saying it's because of an interim body, you are saying that they are okay.
It's partly because of money.
People don't know what
we didn't want to reconfigure, reballot after Ikuadonko passed and all of that.
Yes.
So here we are going to expend money on this. How does that?
And why Volta region? Of all the regions, of all the Ahafu is only 6 constituencies. Why Volta region? Ahafu is only 6 constituencies.
Yes.
Okay. Why Volta region?
Let me quickly do my paper. There's this is the daily guide. December 7 elections will be peaceful. IGP assures. We're going to hold him to that, and the rest of us are all involved. Whether you're a politician, media, whatever, let's all do it for Ghana. Vote Baumia, that's according to Kufuor. Veep mobbed at Kumeu. DACF exposes her Black West drip lies. 2 Chinese Ghanaian Galamsey's trial ends. On the back page, Tony Yeboah slams Stars Management Committee. Actually, if you look at our performance between 2008 and 2017, we went to the semi-finals of the AFCON. 2008 and 2017. Semi-finals. That was our worst performance. Then 2019, round of 16. Then 2021, group stage. 2023, group stage. 2025, we didn't even qualify.
And now we are paying for
It shows a trend, like it or not. 2008 to 2017, semi-finals. Right after that, we've been coming down since. And the former Black Stars attacker, Tony Yeboah, slammed the management committee of the Black Stars after the team failed to qualify, of course, for the AFCON. The former Leeds United and Eintracht Frankfurt man had blamed the management committee of the team and accused them of failing to listen to advice. He noted that the team's leadership have failed to pay heed to people who have been there, saying on Happy FM, the current management of the Black Stars does not value or act on the advice we, as former players, offer. I hear he was also saying something about money and some exchanges and all kinds of things there. Ronaldo makes retirement hint. Of course, they are playing in the UEFA Nations League. Scored a brace in there with a bicycle kick as well. And when he was asked, he said, I just want to enjoy myself. Plan for retirement. If it has to happen in 1 or 2 years, I don't know. I'm turning 40 soon. Mexico coach hits by beer can after defeat. That's just in sports. I'll go very quickly through the other stories. Now, the District Assembly's Common Fund is claiming to expose the Member of Parliament for North Tongue. I'm waiting for the other bit he put out on the rebagged rice. For North Tongue, Samuel Okudzato-Ablakwa over lies concerning the purchase of the District Road Improvement Program machines. Now, they talk about the fact that quotations were sought for from Plant Pool and Zonda, and that supposedly the total cost of the equipment and other specified ancillary services was 178.7 million, of which there was some allowance to pay a certain portion of 26 million. It goes on and on. We just want to get to the bottom of it. Can maybe this go through a legal process for us to find out whether the claims we made? Because we know that in this country, the area where there is the most corruption is procurement. So these stories, I don't like to get into it. Let's go to court maybe. But anyway, going to court has also... Court orders South Africa police to end standoff with illegal miners. For me, I'm very much in support of the position taken by South Africa in dealing with some of these illegal miners. Their situation is not as bad as ours, far from it. But they are dealing with them ruthlessly. And I think that's where we should go as a country. Then Russia fires more than 200 missiles and drones at Ukraine. Israeli strike on Beirut kills Hezbollah spokesperson. I'll just wrap with these final ones. Let me also salute our very own Doreen Avio and KMJ. They are going to host the 2024 GMA UK Awards. Not the first time for Doreen either. Congratulations to them. NPP condemns attack on Kufuor. One Delaidem was caught saying things like, some of them I'll not repeat, but that the former president is evil. I don't want to mention the other things because it feeds into the politics. But the story suggests that the NDC supports this and that the leadership of the NDC supports this and that there was no apology. But I have seen, in fact, the party was swift in condemning the attack of Delaidem, and he himself apologized. In fact, I've seen so many stories, so I find it a bit interesting that the story would say the party didn't. Any thoughts on these?
When they insult His Excellency Mahama, who comes out to say what you are saying about them?
Well, what is good is not good.
No, but I'm saying that he...
Two wrongs don't make a right.
No, but I'm saying that he apologized, but also the point is that there are some very unsavory words they use on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Sometimes when you hear it, it is for you a human being, you feel that, are they talking about a human being like this? But who in the MPP would come and say that one of our communicated insulted His Excellency John Mahama so badly that, and I think that what is good for the goose is also good for the country. But
we must get past this. I remember former President Mills and some things that were said, former President Kufuor back then and some things. I think we should get past this thing about insulting people.
No, but I'm saying there's no right for the words that Dela used. But I'm saying that going forward, if the land and NDC have been able to come out and say they are sorry for some of the unsavory words, then it is also an example and a platform for the MPP to also realize and know that they should not insult His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is, I mean, tit for tat. If this is being done, then they should also do that. Because some of the things they say about this man, when you hear, sometimes your heart breaks. Not because of anything, but he's a human being.
Right.
And he's a very great, because for me, he's a very tolerant person. Some of the things they say about me and I are champion, I won't stand there a minute. But he takes it in, and I know he hears it, and I know he knows it. He never utters a word. The MPP from today, from this example, that anybody in their communication team who utters unsavory and very dark words and bitter words about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that person should be brought to book by their party. Okay. The NDC has taken the lead. The NDC should also learn.
Yeah, George, so just I just wanted to add this: the vote for Bawumia, bit, because that was what triggered this tirade, if you like.
Why
some have said that.
Why should that be?
Apart from the insult, some have said that the fact that now we have to call upon the former president to come and pitch for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and I'm referring to social media comments on the stream, the live stream, points to the fact that, look, things are not well, that the MPP sees that a loss is right in the offing. And I read some of the comments, and it didn't appear those who were commenting were convinced by the words of the former president. How do you react to that?
Well,
is it a desperate move?
No. Kufuor is a bona fide member of the MPP.
Yeah, but we didn't see this. We didn't see this for Nanado. We didn't see this for.
No,
I mean, you rarely see this.
He was campaign. He was part of the.
No, I'm saying something like this.
Yes. So he decided
having to come out and
yes,
do
when
this.
we're launching, when Dr. Bawumia was launching his vision on 7th of February, President Kufuor was there. He made such statements. He said Dr. Baumia is a destiny child. He believes he is the man for
I'm talking about the timing. At this time,
yes,
close to the elections, coming out like this.
He decided to come in again. Okay. And I don't understand why anybody, whether
but he does this every time.
No, I'm saying at this time.
Yes. No, he does it
on some say it's a desperate move.
No, he does it.
Whether NDC or not, coming from Kufuor, a former president on the ticket of the MPP, it's a matter of course that he will support his party's candidate. You get it? And it's more instructive.
He has only one vote.
Because people thought his protege is Alan Chemate. You get it? And so, you know,
this had to come in as well.
Yes. Don't even say he's not a protege.
I don't know.
Don't go there. Don't even
go there. Make us go back to this.
I am saying that don't go there. I know it's my uncle, but I'm saying that we are talking about.
Okay, we have to go. Final.
Forget about it. Don't even say it. If it's Alan's, why does he go talking about it?
I'm pleading with my brother that
he has apologized.
I was with him on your sister station. He nearly gave me a punch in my face.
Oh, sorry.
Who is this?
The same guy, Dela Edem. You get it? And I don't understand.
Well, we don't have those facts. There's no comment to something that he is not.
So learn from the apology and stop.
No, I'm pleading with him. You get it? Emotions are there.
We're also pleading with you to stop insulting His Excellency.
And again, I don't know if there are videos of people who have insulted President Mahama. Let's see it. Let's apologize.
It is all they apologize.
Do my communications. I admire some of those people in the NDC. I do. My best man at my wedding is a top NDC member of parliament. You get it? We are like brothers. So please, if we take the politics away, we are brothers. Let's see it so. 7th December, 19 days from now, will come and go. And then people will be declared winners.
All right.
And then life goes on.
I think this is where we're going to soda. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. We had George
I wanted to ask
George,
when Napo made those comments, not Napo. Not when
even
the president made those comments, did the party as a whole come out to say that, oh, we know that, that was maybe a gaffe, we are sorry?
Which comment?
When the president made that comment about, no, it was Napo Kwame Nkrumah.
I think so. Yes.
The party as a whole.
The party
Napo apologized. Napo apologized.
No, under duress.
That was an apology.
An apology. He went back to go and say it again. No, he went back.
That apology was an apology.
Yes, but it was apologetic.
He apologized.
And he went back to say it again.
And your cousin.
And they are all my people, but me, I won't condone what is not right. Yes, I know, but I won't condone what is not right.
If something is wrong, because
it's my family, I will.
No, I'm not saying
yes,
that's written there.
But I will say it.
If I leave these two people, they'll go on and on.
Apologize to Dr. Mahama when your people insult.
We also had
apologize and stop it.
He is Director of Communications. He is with NAPO. Of course, I did this together with Sweetie Abochi as well. Stay with us. Sports is up next on the AM show.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. It is March day 6 of the ongoing African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Ghana, after 5 matches, have got 3 points and 2 defeats, which means that Ghana will not be going to the next edition of the African Cup of Nations for the first time in about 21 years. Head coach of the team, Otto Addo, says that the pride for him at this moment is to ensure his team defeats Niger later today to avoid finishing at the bottom of Group F.
Good afternoon, everybody. To sum it all up, everybody's disappointed. I'm disappointed. I knew before I took the job that it's going to be very, very difficult because surely, I think the last, 6, 7, 8 years were very, very difficult. the Ghana Football Association, for Ghana as such as a country. I knew it also before I took over to qualify for the World Cup. And so things are always on the edge, and surely I know we could have done better. I think we didn't lost it at the last game in Angola. The boys tried, and we had a lot of new players coming in. They haven't played together. We had just a short time of training. So very, very difficult circumstances with a lot of injuries. But yeah, I think I said, we lost it, especially in our home games, where we played well, but we didn't score goals, and I think that was crucial in all for not qualifying. This is football sometimes. I know it's very, very difficult for everybody to accept, but we have to move forward. That's the only way which will help us. And everybody who wants Ghana to succeed have to look forward now, 100%. It would be wrong to blame it now on players who are playing tomorrow. Out of, I think, those 22, maybe 15, 16 haven't played the AFCON qualifiers. And to be, let's say, harsh on them wouldn't make any sense. I think it's a good chance now for a lot of players to show themselves. Hopefully they will use their chance, and we have seen, I think, some players who used these chances in the last game, and I hope that more players will use this chance, and we're looking forward to the game tomorrow to beat Niger, not to end up last. We want to beat them to at least, for our honor, get the third place, and this is what we're working for, and for this, I know it's very, very difficult, but surely, again, we need the support. And if any one of us wants to make Ghana better, the players need support. That's all I can say. Meanwhile, I understand that people are disappointed, maybe angry. I was also disappointed, but surely we have to move on now. We have to move on, and we have to do our best to prepare for the World Cup qualifiers now, and it starts tomorrow.
So let's still stay with Otto Addo. The next round of the World Cup qualifiers, just as you heard him in the latter part of his answer to the question on what he's made of Ghana's performance in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers for 2025. He said the preparations for the World Cup starts effective today. And the next round of the World Cup qualifiers will be happening in March 2025. He says if Ghanaians want to see the Black Stars at the FIFA World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, they need to give him the support and the national team the support needed to be able to win the rest of their matches.
Let me first ask the second question. I think this is part of the job. I knew what I was about to expect when I took this job. This is part of the job. It's kind of normal. I grew up in Germany in an environment with a lot of white people, a lot of racists, a lot of hatred. And for me, I went through a lot in my life, a lot to be a professional football player. I worked a lot, and it was the same as a coach. As a coach, it's you Germany. I'm the only black person in the whole system there as a coach. So I always have to fight my way through. So it doesn't affect me, to be honest. Because I went to so much. I know where I'm coming from, and so for me, it's all about to protect the players. It's all about the players, for them to get better, for them to learn out of these things. And to the second question, to the first question, what happened? I tried to sum it up. I think the base in these qualifiers are the home games, and I wished we would have played bad but won anyhow. But we to be honest, we played well, but we were lacking scoring goals. No, and I think it's a complex thing. It's maybe more psychological. Surely there was a lot of hatred coming from outside against me, against maybe the team, and yeah, I can just ensure you that I think in all, sometimes it affects the players, and we need support. That's all. If all of you want Ghana to win, we are very down now. If you don't want us to go to World Cup, then you can continue and then you can hammer on us, okay? But if you really want us to go to World Cup, we need support. That's all I can say.
And that support, maybe it should be starting later today at the Accra Sports Stadium when the Black Stars comes up against Niger on March the 6th of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers 2025. Let's talk some boxing now. And about 10 years ago, one of the biggest boxing bouts to have ever been organized in Ghana was put together by Alex Ntiamwa of Golden Mile Boxing Promotions. He said that he sold his land and car to be able to organize that fight between Bukom Banku and that of Ayite Powers.
But then the dollar is by $1 to $1 is 1.5 or so. Yeah. 1 cedi 50 pesos or so. Wow. Yes. So the 20,000 is around maybe some $12,000-13,000 by then. Yeah. You know, it was some huge money. And even when we announced, you know, when we planned for the signing event, because I discussed with Nat, and we said we need to have a signing on event for people to see that the fight is real. People should know that the fight has been signed and it's coming off. So we had the event at Accra Sports Stadium. So when we announced, people were curious about the purse for the fight. And you know, Banku was taking 25,000 and Ayite Powers 20,000. And people thought it was just something to prop the fight, you know. But in reality, that was the amount of money that was to pay the fighters. And when I finished the signing of the contract, and I went back to the people that I've had conversation with in regards to sponsorship, that is where the problem started. Because, we come next week, let's discuss, I need to talk to my boss, this and that. I've committed myself with the boxers. I've given them some money to start training, and they have started training. But the money is not coming from anywhere. So I had to sell my car and some land that I have. I had to sell those things before.
You sold your car and your land?
Yes, before I was able to raise some money. And I had a friend in the US who is a boxing manager. He also supported me with some money.
Let's stay on boxing now. And Ghana's bronze medalist at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, Techi, was in action. He came up against Emmanuel Corte. We go for the highlights of that. And after, we also will bring you the highlights of how Jake Paul defeated Mike Tyson. Now, let's wrap up with some highlights in the Ghana Premier League. Kumasi Asante Kotoko suffered a fourth successive defeat in the ongoing campaign after losing 2-0 to Nations FC. And Accra House of Folk, on the other hand, they have secured a third consecutive win for the first time this season, when they also won 1-0 against Kerala United. And this is how we wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. You can head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. We appreciate your time.
Well, let's watch it well. Who's got in a goal here? Was Suleimana. Let's watch it. Let's not credit anybody's goal. It's rather Suleiman and Nafiu instead. See if their team have got anything to offer as far as this game is concerned. On the best of touch. That's Shawata. By 2 goals to nil out of Boston Lancaster Sports Stadium, and he's the former Akachi Osterman who's really shook himself once again. Tensious moment. But how on earth did Kamara give out that ball to this diminutive striker? You just look at it. Not the best of first touch from the shortstopper. Charty a bit quick, picks it, and he hits.
Taking the game to Kerala United. Aisa, the man who likes scoring, he does again. What a story. Hamza Isa, when Hasselhoff strikes in Tamale, you don't ask who scored. You just know it's Hamza Isa. Very, very good ball through. He ran well, and the man he's playing ahead of, Afriye Boateng, working towards and applauding him. The fans excited. Bedlam, pandemonium here at the Aliu Mahama Sports Stadium. Early days, and Hamza Isa has already blasted Hasselhoff in front.
What a way to put your team in front. The defense of Kerala United were in disbelief. They were disorganized and looking at the positional awareness of the defenders.
This is still the AM show, the Monday edition, and now we're bringing you the latest episode of our feature series, Streets of Despair. Now, let's take you to Kaneshi First Light here in Accra, where children, some as young as 10 years old, from far away from their homes in Niger and Nigeria, are surviving on these streets to survive. These children, once seen begging at car windows, are now selling goods at the median of our city's busiest streets, dodging traffic and finding ways to feed themselves and their families with dignity. Joy News' Faustina Safo has been engaging some of these children in First Light at Kaneshi and tells us the story now.
I have come to one of the busiest intersections in the capital, Kaneshi First Light. Once the traffic light signals red, young faces appear through the blare of car windows with outstretched arms, warm smiles, and sometimes tear-filled eyes. They try to prick your conscience, hoping you spare a coin or two. These children often from Niger and Nigeria, once upon a time survived mainly through the benevolence of passengers and drivers. However, their approach has changed. They have become vendors, selling products like cotton earbuds and brushes, striving to catch the attention of potential buyers. For these young ones, this isn't just a sales speech. 10-year-old Aisha says she makes enough profit selling cotton earbuds to feed herself and her parents, who are meters away.
My parents moved from Niger because things there were difficult. We came here hoping for a better life. At first, I begged, but now I make more money selling. I can now cater for myself and my parents.
For 10-year-old Fatih, selling car brushes provides her the dignity begging deprives her of.
When I was begging, people used to stare at me a lot. Now I sell and I know they see me. It's not much, but I'm earning something and feels better. I make at least 20 cedis profits a day.
This new path is far from easy. There are days when they make nothing, standing in the hot sun or under pouring rain, but they still push on for the sake of their families.
There are days when the sales are not good, but still, we try our best. We can only pray for better days.
These children, though still so young, are learning harsh lessons in resilience, lessons that no child should ever have to learn. Caught between the innocence of childhood and the harsh demands of survival, these children are left to wonder, is there a future beyond the streets, or will they be forever bound to this life? For Sina Safo, Joy News, Kaneshi First Light.
Welcome back. This is the Sweetie and Benjamin Show. We call it the AM Show. And we're getting into our big stories. But before I tell you what we're getting into, this year's CompuGhana Cashback has been named Prime Cashback Season. It's packed with incredible deals and exciting surprises. This Prime Cashback, CompuGhana is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, and awesome surprises. When you shop products from any of their branches nationwide, you can find products from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Midea, Nasco, Techno, Infinix, Itel, Huawei, and many more. Visit any of the CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all products. Now, CompuGhana has a wide range of IT-related products, including mobile phones, electronic products such as laptops, printers, desktops, tablets, televisions, fridges, home theaters, air conditioners, gas cookers, and more. What's more amazing is this year's Prime Cashback with CompuGhana has got great prizes with instant gifts and cash prizes for your shopping experience. When you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team. Answer a question correctly and win instant cash and gifts. You deserve this opportunity too. Rush to CompuGhana now. The promo runs from now till December. Visit CompuGhana.com or call 0302-752-020 for more information.
Well, let me also tell you about some other important information you should take note of. And this is coming from Medicus Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your family in mind. Spacious wards built with your recovery in mind. A warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And we've assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Safo, the drive time doctor, to serve you. We offer general medical services as well as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. There is also a 24-hour pharmacy that ensures you will always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicine. And we bring you the most powerful medicine of all time, simple human kindness and empathy. Guess what? We take pride in holding ourselves to the highest attainable standards, and we accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. Where is Medicas Hospital located? At number 10 Kingshaw Street, near Ashalibutre School Junction. Or you can simply call 0501-477-340 or reach us on all social media platforms at Medicas GH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing. What do we have for our big stories this morning, Ben?
Well, there seems to be some constitutional crisis, or is there? It has deepened as the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, has urged members of the NDC in Parliament to not show up in case there is any recall. And this casts doubts on whether Parliament is going to be able to sit before the December 7 elections. We're going to be interrogating this matter. What are the implications for the economy, governance, and our democracy? We'll start from Parliament. We'll also look at the EC and the entire situation in the Ahafo and Volta regions, together with the Kufuor, pitch in recent times for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the reaction of Delaydem. All of that is on our chopping board this morning. But first, I want us to take a look at that video where Johnson Esiedu Nketia made those comments.
NDC MP for go. Obia emergency recall. I'm obia ti ho. Na ya kwa kotuaba. Ya tuaba wi a. Mo me Ghana for nche say wo mo energy democracy ho. Ya leaders say all parliament ni nyina. Ya tuaba na o mo nsamra. Ya NDC so Yamba MPC dodo ambata ho. Ya time koni democracy. Na nyina ho. Yakasa democracy ebeje ne so a wuyi parliament free ho asa democracy bia ne ba bia eno tina o mai bia monije kamibe mkabi amamwo no asase mu nyina mo sori na mo ba mo parliament ho bai na parliament who we keep parliament ya let us say democracy no ahead atonso yan trese ya de moja na ape aje parliament ya si ho aje democracy ya si ho yan trese ma ba akufo amimfo bi ama chare mekase obo ya nyama asa democracy ensinna ensicha the parliament ni wa democracy anyway but parliament wa and a democracy
So he was speaking there, addressing some supporters and also talking about the fact that, listen, democracy cannot stand without a vibrant, active parliament. And of course, in that same speech, he also made the point that members of parliament on the NDC end were not to go to parliament. But what would that mean for government business? Sweetie Abochi is here with me in the studio, and our guests who will be joining the conversation, John Osai Kwapong, Dr. John Osai Kwapong. He is a CDD fellow. We have Dr. Kwame Asante. He's a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We also have one who keeps his eye on parliamentary matters. He's with the Parliamentary Network Africa. I'm talking about Samuel being the executive director of that outfit. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
I'd like to hear from all of you so I can... Doc, I see you speaking, but I cannot hear you.
Oh, you cannot hear me. Good morning.
No, not Dr. Osai Kwapong.
Okay.
Dr. Kwame Asante, can I hear you, sir?
Yes. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Sweetie. And then good morning to my friends on the other side.
Right.
Yes.
Samuel Bey, can we get a hi from you? All right. I think the feed to Samuel Bing has frozen. So let's get right down to it. Dr. Osai-Kwapong, looking at this latest, sort of directive, though it's not coming from, the far-reaching ends of the party in terms of an official position. When you have the chairman of the party say this, it practically is official. I don't know what your take is, but let me just try Samuel Bing one more time. Sammy, good morning.
Good morning.
All right,
good morning, Benjamin.
Good to have you join the conversation. So the first question, which I'm throwing to all of you, is what I've just made mention of, Dr. Osai-Kwapong. What do you make of this coming from Johnson Esidu Nketia in respect of Parliament and any recall?
Well, I believe the last time we spoke about this, one of the questions you threw out there was, is there an end to this, right? That are we going to see some sort of resolution to this crisis? And one of the things that I had asserted was that hopefully once the Supreme Court rules on the substantive question at stake, then it brings some finality to what it means and what it does, what that provision of the Constitution means, what it doesn't mean, and then now we can at least find a way to move forward and Parliament can reconvene. But it just looks like there's still no end in sight. He's the party's chairman, so I'm sure that the MPs would at least take some cue from that. Especially because the election is also close. They are all out there campaigning, probably also disagree with the Supreme Court's ruling. So it just looks like this thing is going to go on for a little bit longer than some of us had anticipated.
Samuel Bing, this directive, so to speak, from the chairman of the party, how does it sit with you?
Well, first of all, I think that it's important to note a few things. The first, for me, is that Parliament can be recalled in two ways. Now that the House has been adjourned sine die, it's to have Mr. Speaker say that, well, we need to come back, by the normal parliamentary procedure, or to have any group in Parliament, 15% of members of Parliament recall Parliament through an emergency, recall path. In both instances, it is almost practically impossible for Parliament to have any meaningful engagement between now and elections day.
Right.
We are about 3 weeks to elections. The second path of an emergency recall will be the path which would usually happen after 2 weeks when the whole process is triggered because of the constitutional provision. But of course, Mr. Speaker can recall the House and say, let's reconvene tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because after all, the House was adjourned sine die. But around this time, when members of Parliament are when we are in the heart of the campaigning, towards elections, and we know that for our MPs, it's all about the next elections, rather than around this time, rather than coming to the House to be able to convene. It makes for practical impossibility for the House to have anything meaningful between our elections day. However, it does not lie, in my opinion, in the mouth of a party chairman, on a political party rally platform to literally instruct, his members of Parliament and say that if Parliament is recalled, whether through Mr. Speaker, getting the House back or through an emergency recall, nobody should step foot in Parliament. I think it is becoming one too many, where we are having, members of Parliament and conversations in the Chamber of Parliament being dictated, from party headquarters in a way that becomes very untidy.
And you know what comes to mind, which I was going to throw to Dr. Asai Asante. You recall when the NDC was restructuring its leadership in Parliament. It was something similar. It was the administrative arm of the party that literally communicated that, listen, we're changing, without necessarily the members of Parliament themselves deciding that move away Haruna Idrisu, come in Dr. Cassiel Atuforsen. You remember that incident as well. What picture does this paint vis-a-vis this current situation?
Well, certainly, yes, I do. And it goes to buttress the point I was making, that we are having one too many instances where the representational role that members of parliament are to play, representing all of us. We've always maintained, and that is it, that, you know, parliament can only host 275 people or more, depending on how things go. And all of us, you know, the 30+ million Ghanaians cannot be in the Chamber of Parliament, and that's why we select representatives. If the Speaker recalls Parliament today and says that, look, let's reconvene on Tuesday or Thursday because there is this particular issue that we've got to deal with, you know, urgently, it is because all of the people of Ghana must necessarily be represented in Parliament for those critical decisions to be taken. I think it is quite in a bad taste for the party chairman. Yes, you may have had some conversations with your party folks and the MPs in Parliament in private, you know, but to put this out there, especially also for a party chairman who is a member of the Parliamentary Service Board, you know, I think that all of these dynamics, when put together, we could do our Parliament a lot of good by avoiding some of these things.
Doc, your quick thoughts on that, Dr. Hassan Asante?
I think that there's a way out. The way out is that we should go back to the basics. And what are basics? We need to build consensus and dialogue. The two are critical ingredients in this type of equation. Right. So I expect that however painful it may be in terms of the judgment, once you don't find any other means of going back to seek a review, you live with the decision of the court. And that once the court has spoken, you have no choice than continue from what the court has given to us.
But let me just interject on that point. I think it's Justice Atuguba, if I recall correctly, I stand corrected if I am not right, who said that, yes, the court's ruling stands, and that is what applies now. That is what must be adhered to. And the Speaker of Parliament's only role is to recall Parliament, but he doesn't have the power to compel any member of Parliament to show up. And that's where it gets a bit tricky,
for that one,
doesn't it?
that has been the practice. The Speaker will call, but if you can find, but remember, there is a 15-day rule. When you absent yourself from Parliament, the sanction that goes with it, and that also awaits you.
Is it 15 days or 15 sittings?
Yes, when you miss 15 sittings.
Right, not 15 days, 15 sittings.
No, I'm sorry. When you miss 15 sittings, then that thing can be triggered and all that. But sometimes you see there's always, tactics that they engage in Parliament. They will come a few days when they realize that they've been absent for a number of days. They show up and then that kind of thing. But bottom line is that I believe that leadership in Parliament can deal with this problem.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you for those. Oh, I thought you were done, Doc.
No, for me, once the court has spoken, all hands must be on deck to do the business of Parliament. So when Parliament is recalled, I expect that everybody will go there and then you do the work for which reason you were put there by your constituents. At this time, they cannot afford to absent themselves from Parliament because some of them are going for re-election. And if the elected get to know that you are not serious about the business of Parliament, it can cost you your seat and all that. So it is incumbent upon them to go there and then do the business of Parliament and then go into campaign and all that.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for your initial thoughts. Sweetie, I don't know what you think about this because it creates quite a conundrum for members of Parliament. Your chairman has said, don't show up. Don't set foot there. Don't set foot there. And on the other hand, you serve the constituents and people are watching what is going to be your reaction because then the other side will say, there's bad faith and all of that. It leaves the MPs in a tricky situation, which is why some would say it could have been a backdoor decision, but the chairman shouldn't have mentioned it. I don't know.
I'm tempted to agree with Samuel being there when he says it doesn't lie in the power of the chairman to tell the members of Parliament not to go to Parliament. But what I'm curious to find out from Dr. John Osai-Kopong, beg your pardon, is, at the heart of this controversy was, one, the independence of Parliament and the processes, the right procedures to settle whatever issues that we have. Now, just like Benjamin said, the speakers, the Chief Justice, the Supreme Court's ruling is now what we are going with, right? Does that in any way put an attack on the independence of Parliament? Because when you listen to the commentary coming in, they're talking about how the Supreme Court shouldn't have even entertained this in the first place, but we have a ruling. Does that take anything away from the independence of our Parliament? Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
It doesn't. I had said previously that in the ruling of the court, my expectation was that they would deal with a substantive question and find a way to avoid any, any commentary or any sort of saying anything about how Parliament went about it, because that was my key concern, right? Interpret 97(1) G&H, but preserve the right of Parliament, to be master of its own rules and all of that. And when you read the ruling, I believe generally that the court strayed away from making sure that it didn't do or say anything that may undermine that independence, of Parliament. It took its time to really explain why 97(1) GH means what it means in the opinion of the majority. It also went at length to explain why it believed it had jurisdiction to take up the matter. So I don't think that this would undermine that independence of Parliament. Of course, if Parliament does something that quote unquote offends the Constitution, then it is only right that the courts will step in. But for now, it is no longer a judicial question that needs to be settled or resolved. For now, it's a political question, and that is, as Dr. Asah-Asante said, how does leadership come together to dialogue and build consensus so they can find a political solution to an internal matter that triggered all manner of other things.
So let me throw that political question to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, in this case, what would be that right move that we should be, or parliamentarians and the executive and even the judiciary should be making in this 19 days left for us to go to the polls? I mean, on the back of Johnson Asiedu Nketia saying don't go to Parliament, it's not within his power to do that. What is the right move that our parliamentarians should be looking to make now?
Yes. You don't need the judiciary to come in. The judiciary has finished its work. What is left is to how to deal with, the rest of the issues, and which is political in character. So leadership must meet with Mr. Speaker and define common grounds to this thing. Because practice
Doc,
in
when
Parliament...
When you say leadership, do you mean, who exactly are you referring to?
Majority and minority.
Okay.
They constitute the leadership of Parliament. And in any parliamentary business, they meet with the Speaker and have a common ground before they come and sit. Yes. So I think that is the only way left. They go, they meet, and then discuss issue and find a way of dealing with this. But it is important to note that these things get done and get done well with the support of their parties. All these things, the function of what happens within the political parties, right? So it is important that they also bend back to look at the leadership of the political parties, get them on board in terms of the decision, and then get the leadership to present that to Mr. Speaker, and then they have a common ground. For me now, it is left with consensus and dialogue. That's the only way. Because yes, the judicial question has been answered already, even though I disagree with respect with some of with a certain position of the majority. Because if you look at what they said, two things are not part of the ingredient of the decision of the majority. One, representation function of MPs. MPs represent not only their constituents, but their interests as well in Parliament. So you put somebody in Parliament for a fixed term of 4 years, and the person 6 months to election, he goes to change color in terms of party identity, and is in there. it is the highest, disloyalty, if I may put it that way, that you can experience. Yes, because we'll put you there for a fixed term. And 6 months to election, you are saying that, look, you want to have association with this party. And if you go through all the political parties, their constitution, they tell you that you should not do anything as a member of the party to undermine the effort of the political party. Remember that political parties also operate in parliament based on caucus. So imagine they have a problem. They want to, for instance, say that they want to win this election, MPP, and you are in there and you have gone to, now you've changed character to be an NDC. You are going to, in parliament, they cannot engage you because they don't trust you, divided loyalty. When you step out of parliament, you are going to do the very things that you are not supposed to do to undermine the effort of the political party. So that is a problem. And then remember, we sign social contract with MPs. Go and represent us, because this is a typical NDC constituency, for instance. Say Hohoi. We believe in NDC, pure and simple. You go there, change color, 6 months to election, and you say, no, I want to be with NDC. Look, the contract has been broken, and there's a need for the people who put you there to sanction you. For me, that's it. But all these things have been settled.
Okay.
The court has spoken.
All right.
If you don't challenge it, it stays. Otherwise, you work with it. So I believe that the time is now for them to sit down, enjoy and find solution. That is the only way out.
Because the courts have spoken. Samuel Bay, so have we set a dangerous precedent? Have we undermined the Parliament's ability to check the other branches of government with this new ruling that is now, the new order of the day? Have we done something that posterity will probably judge us for? Samuel, maybe you can hear me. Kindly unmute.
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear you.
Yeah.
I think he missed the question.
Okay, I was asking if we've set a dangerous precedent with all of this. Have we undermined Parliament's, that key role to check the other branches of government with this new ruling that is now the order of the day, which we are all going by? And like Dr. Kwame Asasante said, if we don't challenge it, then that is what we are going with. Have we done something that posterity will judge us for?
The processes leading up to all of this, had a way of chipping, off the power, the independence, of Parliament as a co-equal branch of government. So the processes, yes, has a way of chipping off. Yes, some of us have always been of the opinion that Article 97(1) G and H needed some clear interpretation to avoid future challenges going forward, because we've been having some of these instances from the past. It's not new that we've been having these things, except that since 2020 it has been escalating, and then we saw what happened this year. So we needed some clarity on that going forward. But in finding that clarity, I really think that we have ended up chipping off the authority and mandate of Parliament. And this is not really within the remit of just the Supreme Court's recent ruling. I think in the last 4 years, a lot of, and mainly maybe the second half of this last 4 years, a lot of things have happened which has a way of undermining the institution of Parliament greatly. And unfortunately, if we do not check these things, if we do not seek, better ways of dealing with these matters, the issues of, when Parliament passes a bill, whether the presidency can say, don't you bring it to us, the issues of even the challenges relating to resource allocation to the legislature, the issues around, the encroachment by political parties and their headquarters really in the internal affairs of Parliament, and all of these issues, some of the rulings that have come out of the Supreme Court in recent past. These are quite worrying times. The disagreement, often disagreement between the three arms of government, all of these matters have been left unchecked, in my opinion. And these things have a way of chipping off the strength, authority of a very important arm of government, the legislative arm of government. And I really think that we may have to start thinking as a country around how to restore this. Other than that, we would have to live with the ramifications of these things we have done to our Parliament in recent years.
But I'm curious to know, how do we actually resolve it? In your experience or expertise, how do we resolve it?
Well, many ways.
If indeed we have compromised that mandate of Parliament, how do we get it back?
In many ways, of course. Dr. Sasanti mentioned the need for dialogue, really, among leadership. This is the time for leadership of Parliament to really show leadership. This is the best time to show that indeed they are the leaders of Parliament, both sides of the aisle, together, Mr. Speaker, sitting down to have conversations around these things. But also, members of Parliament must note that when these things that encroaches the space of Parliament happens, and because of partisan political interests, they sit aloof and usually support some of these things because of where it falls. The end game is that it chips off the power and authority of Parliament, and that has a way of harming the institution of Parliament in the future. And so we should not have instances where, because a particular decision favors one particular political party in Parliament, you find members of Parliament all supporting it. We must have an instance where MPs must be seen together with Mr. Speaker, together with the Parliamentary Service, protecting the institution of Parliament and its rightful place in society. And these are some of the ways that we can be able to go about these things going forward.
Thank you. Then what I'm hearing is whether or not we should challenge this ruling or just let it go because this is what we are working with now. I don't know what you make of it.
I think that has been challenged already from the rhetoric in the public space from some legal luminaries, including Ansasari, former director of the Ghana School of Law, including the likes of Justice Atuguba himself, Chachu Chikata, the Shraj boss.
But procedurally, challenge it.
But, and there were disagreements which brought the NDC back to court, which was quashed. And then there's also that bit by Roxanne Nelson Dafiameko. So I think there has been some level of challenge, but whether this in itself, because you realize that when they went back, and the court, the apex court, determined that its earlier ruling was right. That was a way of the court to say that this is where we stand. This remains our position. This morning I was mentioning to George Aisi that unless we have a Roe versus Wade situation a la Trump, where then you have a different set of judges and they are thinking differently, we may have to. For now, this is what the court has ruled, whether we like it or not. Some legal luminaries say, if you look at it, the processes, and even the determination. Justice Tanko has said that this does not add up. This cannot be the ruling. He has some very strong words, but he is in the minority. He and Justice Miriam are in the minority. And so for now, what the court has ruled is what pertains, what stands, which Justice Atuguba corroborates. But gentlemen, I also want us, I think we've exhausted this matter. We'll wait to see how the cookie crumbles, how the chips fall. But I also want us to take a quick stab at the Electoral Commission, because in recent times it has spoken about the fact that there has been a problem with serialization of its ballot papers in the Ahafo and Volta regions, for which reason it is going to have to reprint these. In fact, according to that statement released, the EC discovered discrepancies in the automated serialization system used by the printing house responsible for producing ballots for the two regions. Some have asked, why was it just these two regions? Some have speculated. But the question is, how problematic is it that we are here? I'll start with you, Dr. Osankwapo. Dr. Osankwapo, you take the first shot.
Yeah, when the story became public, it did raise concern, right? Especially on the back of the fact that we've been talking regularly about the declining trust in the EC as per Afrobarometer, and then also the decline in confidence in the electoral system as per the NCC survey. So I found it worrying. Yes, it's good that the EC has come out to release a statement as to what happened. I've read another statement talking about the disposal of those unusable ballot papers, which would also be done would be done under the supervision of all the agents of the political parties, etc., etc. So yes, I'm glad that there's been a quick response to it. But again, I recall several weeks ago when there was something was flagged with the provisional register. I remember Dr. Bosman Asari saying, well, it was an honest mistake. But I keep saying that within this context and under these circumstances, there is really no room for quote unquote honest mistakes. And so I think it's one of those things where you would have to keep doubling your steps if it means even closer supervision of those who are printing these ballots to really reiterate the point that we cannot afford the luxury of honest mistakes, given the context in which we are working now for this 2024 election.
You made an interesting point, and I'll use that to segue to Dr. Hassan Asante. You spoke about the trust quotient when it comes to the Electoral Commission, and we've seen it take a big tumble. But then you have Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer of the NDC, make mention of the fact that, quote, we have our agents 24/7 monitoring the printing process in all the printing houses. So our agents indicated the issue of the numbering on the ballot papers. In other words, the claim here is that they found it. I'm directing that to Dr. Hassan Asante. How do you find this? Because it appears every now and then we get some of these incidents and it takes the other side maybe to bring it up and then it becomes an issue. Dr. Hassan Asante, that's for you.
It tells you that all is not well with the areas that they have identified. So they quickly have to get into business and fix the problem quickly. And then begin to double check other places using sampling methods to see whether what we have is what is supposed to be the case. Because we don't want a situation people get to the polls and, you have wrong materials in the hands of voters. It creates all manner of uncomfortable
And some people will vote,
Yeah,
maybe their vote
exactly.
will be invalidated because
Yes.
the serialization is not proper. How did this wrong serialization get into the system in the first place? And now we are even talking of, to solve the problem, we are going to have to expend more taxpayers' money, because that's what it means if you're going to print extra ballot papers or more ballot papers to replace the erroneous ones.
That is why when you are undertaking such an exercise, you take all on board and make sure that you get the basics right. Because any breach or any problem that comes up is going to work against the quality of the whole process. And that is what you and I don't want. So I think the EC should look at all that and fix all the problems. And so that you generate what? Confidence within the system. People will go into the process, cast their ballots, and hope that at the end of the day, their ballot will stand. They don't want a situation where you exercise your franchise and that will not be counted. Let my vote count. It's critical here that whatever I put in terms of my vote, I want at the end of the day, it should be counted. And that is the tall order for EC now. They should be able to scan through all and get whatever problem fixed so that you instill confidence in the system. Remember, election hinges on what? Confidence. When people have confidence in the process, at the end of the day, whoever loses, you accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game.
Right.
But if it turns out to be something different, that is where people walk to the courts. Yes, the court is a good place to be, but where we think we can do things better so that we avoid the court and then declare the elections. And then people who said, yes, I have considered defeat. I'm going to congratulate the winner and then we'll move on. That is the spirit that we believe that must guide the conduct of EC officials and all the actors within this political space.
Samuel Bing, we have 19 days to go for the elections. And we have these problems just from about 2-3 days ago that this came to the fore. The NDC has spoken about how their agents were able to look at things and trigger this process. The EC has reacted, coming through with some of the information we now have. How concerned are you that at this point, less than 3 weeks to the elections, we're still facing problems like this? Samuel Bing. You'd probably have to unmute.
It is indeed concerning.
Okay, all right.
And I think that, yes.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm saying that it is indeed concerning, and our seniors have spoken about the angles, of concern so far as this particular matter is concerned. And I do, without seeking to belabor the point, I may not necessarily go into those areas that have already been mentioned, by colleagues on the call. But with just a few days to elections, with these things coming up in an electioneering period where trust, for the Electoral Commission, trust for the process really is a major issue. These are things that should worry all of us. For me, while I was reading the statements that were issued by the Electoral Commission on this particular subject, I was wondering, so what's going to happen to that particular print house or the print houses that were involved in this? Are we supposed to just go additional taxpayers' money on the subject without any remedial measures so far as those organizations that were contracted to do the to do the printing are concerned?
And we should even be looking.
Was
there some intentionality with this, or was it just a mistake?
All of those certainly must be issues that must be agitating our minds. Because you cannot take anything for granted with an election which has such high stakes and with just a few days to elections and what have you. And I really think that the matter must be looked into in more thoroughness, rather than just leaving it on the surface. It is, however, refreshing to note that, some measures have been taken. We've seen the statements that have been released by the Commission on how these papers have been destroyed and the signatures that have been appended to it by the various parties that had representatives in the printing houses and what have you. I think that such avoidable situation really need to be avoided so that we do not have ourselves launched into such instances that goes to heighten the mistrust that goes with our elections.
Sweetie, can you imagine though, I'm looking at this, imagine this hadn't been detected. Can you imagine the chaos that would have ensued? For example, because you have the Ashanti region being the purported World Bank of the MPP, and the Volta region being the purported World Bank of, and the Ahafu region in itself has played a certain role in terms of voting, right? So if this hadn't been detected now, and election day had come, and then all of a sudden the EC was found to be saying, oh, these ballot papers, all these votes, the serial numbers can't be, authenticated, and so all these votes, can you imagine what chaos would have? I mean, pardon me, but can you imagine if you were to say, people would not want to understand. They would think there was something fishy going on and all of that, which is why these matters ought to be looked at, scrutinized microscopically, because this could be a major problem. We found out now. I hope there are not other such instances in other places, because already the trust quotient, like I said, is like this. And if there are any such problems, I mean, God help us.
Perhaps that's why the EC is selling the narrative that they identified this mistake themselves. It wasn't somebody else that pointed it out to them, which in another way also mirrors their efforts in trying to inspire confidence and transparency ahead of the elections. But I want us to move on to something else. Let's see what time will allow us to do. Over the weekend, we saw the first John, former President John Agyekum Kufuor, should I say, weighing on the campaigns, asking Ghanaians to vote for Dr. Mamudu Bawumia, but
he wasn't the first John, though, you know that.
Oh, he's not?
Jerry John Rollins.
Oh, Jerry John, the second
You are
John.
taking his title away from you.
Sorry. But there was this is it the aide to Mahama, Dela Edem, made some comments and several comments about the former president, and he's also come under attack. Although the party joined him in apologizing to the former president, I do want to take your thoughts on this, what it does for us, what it means, even that the former president is coming out to ask, should I say, canvass for votes for Dr. Mamudu Bawumia. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, what is your assessment of what happened, the rhetoric of the former president, the, should I say, insults from Dela Edem, and then the party coming out to apologize and joining himself to apologize to the former president? What do you make of the whole situation there?
Yeah, the comments, as you mentioned, are quite unsavory. It's, he's an elder statesman, former president, and even beyond that, there's no place for insults in political dialogue if you disagree with someone's choice. I'm glad that the party came out very strongly to both condemn those unsavory remarks, but also render an unqualified apology to the former president. In terms of coming out to publicly endorse Dr. Bawumia, I mean it is his right. It's his party's candidate. He feels he has to weigh in. I don't recall him weighing in this strongly in previous elections, though. But whatever his reasons are, he is well within his right as a member of the party and as a citizen of Ghana to come out publicly and share what he believes is at stake in this election and endorse, in a very forceful way, Dr. Bawumia's candidacy for the presidency. So
right.
We'll see what that does in the next couple of days and the outcome of the election.
Okay, before we go to the other panel, Benjamin, I remember you had an interesting view on the former president coming out to canvass for votes now.
You remember?
Yeah, I do want to know
I made mention of, but I mean, we'll be connecting with Murtala Mohammed shortly, member of parliament. But I did say that for me, and Nanaya said, well, he comes out, but I felt it was a bit of an oddity at this time coming out like this. And some have said that it could be because these are desperate times for the MPP, but that's the political reading. I'll come to our guests shortly on that. But quickly, let me bring in Murtala Mohammed. A very good morning to you, sir.
And good morning to your cherished viewers and the other panelists this evening.
We're grateful for your time. There's been this interesting, comment put out there by your party's chairman. You are very familiar with it, that none of you should set foot in Parliament if Parliament is recalled. My guests this morning are saying, well, that may not exactly be good for parliamentary business and maybe the precedents we may want to set. What is your thinking on that? Are you going to abide? Are you going to abide by such a decision?
Exactly what? Hello?
Are you going to abide by what your party chairman says?
Then you just asked me what I make of that, and now you're asking me whether I'm going to abide.
Go ahead with both.
So these are two different questions. Look, first and foremost, I'm not too sure what exactly our national secretary said, because the whole of yesterday, I and my other colleagues were with His Excellency President Mahama, the next president of the Republic of Ghana, and we visited 4 constituencies. 4 constituencies we unfortunately borrowed, the NPP, which I can tell you that the NDC, by Allah's will, is winning those seats. Gushegu is one of the seats we win, and Tampuli would be would not be the next MP, inshallah.
Okay.
The other one was Myang, and my kid brother Aziz certainly will be losing the seat.
Okay.
Other one
so I'm sorry to do this. I get where you're going, but it's a little away from what we're discussing. And you say you don't know exactly what Johnson Esido Nketia said. I'm going to play it for you. No, let me play it for you so that you know what he said. Hello, is it okay? Is it okay now for me to play it for you?
I'm saying that the other one was Karaga, and the Minister for Finance will lose his seat.
Okay.
The other one was Yendi.
Okay.
Farouk Ali Mama will lose his seat. So
I see.
That's my preliminary comment. But on what the General Secretary said or didn't say, the General Secretary...
You mean the chairman of your party? Is the chairman of your party who said this?
On what the chairman of the party said or didn't say, the chairman of the party will not speak out of nothing. I want to strongly believe that the chairman of the party would have had some discussion with our parliamentary leadership. But truth be told, what business has this government to transact again?
No. Let's move away from what that is a tangential issue. The point is
how is it?
No, I shall explain. The substantive matter is that this has been said, and you see, we are looking at not just now. We are looking at the future. What could happen in some other parliament? The point is, you are saying that he couldn't have made this decision without engaging some other leaders in your party. Is that to suggest that he did? You do know that there was some discussion with the top echelons of your party to say this? Is that what you're suggesting? Murtala, are you with me? I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
In the studio, at least listening to, at least those of you virtually, listening to the rhetoric of Murtala Mohammed, Dr. Hassan Asante, what do you make, what do you foresee that would happen if there were such a recall?
Oh, before I deal with that, I think there was a question about what President Kufuor did.
Right.
And all that in terms of, yes, I also do not support that view that politics turn into insult. Politics is not about insults. Otherwise, some people would have been in parliament a long time because they can insult better. And that's not what we're looking. We are looking at it. It's a contest of ideas. If you don't have ideas, please advise yourself. And then it is not wrong from President Kufuor to also to canvass for vote for his party. The recent election in America, you saw Clinton, you saw Obama. Yes, they were all campaigning. It's normal. But if you look at it also, it has a propaganda value. In propaganda techniques, we call this one testimonial, where a well-known person, somebody with credibility, will come and endorse a candidate or a party and said, that is the way to go.
Right.
It's normal. Then come back to the question you are
Doc,
asking.
please hold for me. Just hold for me. Please bear with me. Let's bring Murtala Mohammed back. He's joined the conversation. Murtala, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ben.
Okay, the line is way better now. You were addressing some issues.
I was saying that when you asked whether I took a decision based on my conscience and as an individual, maybe perhaps we should be worried that the likes of President Kufuor are campaigning for Dr. Baum, when he himself and everybody has no any other interest, then here they come for them. Based on the point belongs, then the form better employment any administration the scope. But my point is that I belong
Murtala, just move a bit. I heard you say you belong to the party. Just move a bit.
I said I belong to a party and I represent a constituency. I came with the message of the party, the vision of the party, and the people in Tamale Central overwhelmingly agreed with that viewpoint. And therefore, whatever the party decides, that is certainly what the majority of the people of Tamale Central will agree with. And I can tell you, if you were to take the position of the people in Tamale Central, overwhelmingly, they think we shouldn't even go back to parliament. They think we shouldn't.
How did you sample those opinions? How did you get that?
Well, I am doing community engagement every day. You can sense from my voice that I had little sleep. I had community engagement, and everywhere I go, assemblymen, the community themselves, think that the MPP succeeded in wasting our time when they called us to parliament. And I believe the state would have spent close to $1 million or over $1 million on the recall alone. Every single member of parliament. Among you, the dome we are using is rented. Do you know how much parliament pays a day? Now, Afenyo Martins and his group called as they triggered Article 1123 and Standard Order 53 of Parliament. We came and they disrespected everybody and caused financial loss to the state. What is the guarantee that should they want to call us back to Parliament, that they will honor the purpose for which we will be called? Because the purpose for which we were called was disrespected, disregarded. And I expect the media to be concerned about what the MPP did and what they may.
So in other words, if Parliament is recalled, you will not be in Parliament.
I haven't told you that. I haven't told you that. I've only told you whatever decision the National Democratic Congress takes, that is the decision I would gladly and happily honor.
I see. But it would appear you would be caught between a rock and a hard place. Even if the party doesn't come out, your chairman has spoken like this. So whoever shows up would be going contrary to what the chairman has said, right?
I'm saying that there is no any going contrary. If the chairman of the party, I represent the National Democratic Congress in Parliament, the National Democratic Congress has demonstrated beyond any doubt that it is the only political party in this country now that thinks Ghana. Wow.
You represent the NDC, but once you are in Parliament, while you represent your constituency, you are looking at Ghanaians in general, right? Anyway, we are grateful for your...
Of the...
We apologize. The connections are not exactly at the best, and we apologize to you because we ourselves couldn't catch a lot of what he said. But that is Murtala Mohammed, the legislator for Tamale Central. Dr. Asa Asante, you were on the floor making some submissions before I interjected. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that if you look at the situation in Parliament now, if members of the minority group decide that they will abide by the statement of the General Secretary, the chairman of the party, Mr. Nketia, then we are going to have a problem because there is government business that needs to be done. So we expect that all the shades of opinions will be there to shape the discussion and then get business of government done. Having said this, it is also important for the NDC and all members of parliament to know that we put them there. So if we want to take a decision that is contrary to our interests and aspiration, we have no option than to what? Punish you when we are going to vote. So I'm sure that will also agitate their minds in taking the right decision because we are in difficult times and you can't afford to do things that will incur the wrath of the voter. So I am sure that despite that statement from the chairman, I have every reason to believe that they'll go to parliament because they know the consequence.
Right, right. Sweetie, before you bring in Samuel Bing, you know, as former President Kufuor spoke, and I have already shared my opinion on the fact that the statements were in poor taste. You don't use someone's health or age, you know, things related that you don't insult. And even worse if you're using age and health issues. But the former president says, if you don't vote, you may be putting yourself into slavery. I found that interesting, former President Kufuor saying that. I don't know what your thoughts are as you bring in Samuel Bing.
Well, it's the same thing of saying if you don't vote for the government you want, you'll be run or ruled by a government of, excuse my French, foolish people, because the people who would vote for the person who's not your candidate, you don't know what is inspiring their vote. There was that graphic poll this morning that said about 66% of respondents said they would vote based on the manifestos. And then there's about 33% of the people who don't know what they'll vote on. So in that case, that is where we have party favorites and, you know, a Bobokwan or two in blue, I will vote for the person.
But if you look at, Yashaya sitting right now,
yeah.
The slavery, I don't know. If you look at the inflationary rate, the cost of living.
Rude. I'm not defending
and the fact that we are back at the doorstep of the IMF.
It means you'll be ruled by people who you didn't choose to vote for you. That's slavery in a way. But Samuel Bing, you have the final word. A quick, should I say, a summary of all your thoughts, and then you can add a bit about Dela Edem and the former president, John Ajekun Kufuor, and his campaigning for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Samuel Bing, are you still with us? Okay. Do we still have Samuel Bing with us? If you do, please unmute. I don't think we do. So let's get the final words from Dr. John Osai Kwapong, and I'll come to Dr. Kwame Asante shortly. Doc, please give us a wrap of your thoughts.
Well, so we have, 20 days
19
left to the election. We will see whose endorsement and whose non-endorsement and all of this.
for Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better the chances of Syntex coming. Remember, it's Syntex, S-I-N-T-E-X, Syntex tank. No be any tank be tanko. The correct tank be Syntex tank. Syntex tank, are strong, are tough. We'll be back after the break.
You're still watching the AM show on Joy News. Now, there's an ongoing project on that of Fanko in Sawam Road. I think it's a dollarization project, which has been ongoing for about 2 years now. Residents, pedestrians, and drivers are complaining about the delay it causes, the dusty nature of the roads, and everything in between. We went there to do an assessment of the situation on the ground, and here's the report we're playing to you now. Well, you're still watching the AM show on Joy News, and this morning we're on that 33.4 kilometer of Fanko in Sawam Road stretch. That is, there's currently a dollarization project going on, which has been going on for some time now. Residents have been complaining about the dusty nature of the roads, the delay, the traffic that it causes. And this morning, we just want to do an assessment of the project, how it is faring, how residents, motorists, and pedestrians are faring, plying this road daily, day in, day out. Right now, we are going to speak to one of the residents who's also a driver. So he's going to tell us how things really are going on here on this of Fanko in Sawam Road. Eja, thank you for talking to us. So we've had complaints about traffic, dusty nature of the roads, but what now has say? Inti any enkasa.
You know, almost started when 2 years in. Now 2 years in muno, you face a lot, especially drivers. Say your cars papa because a quantity there. If you have call in Sawam gidi pa say your cars. Na niame matene there. When 2 years ni no mo shase niamate because minimum microphobia war ejumani mu a many omo ye free omo say yes because nansenya kura nsuo twifa ye so wa ha omo ye hade no omo blockade this side baby high tension way nti nsuo twifa evra ye dem say nkrofo ne makra bebre ema ye hu engineers ne ma omo compensation binum ba ye de ye bibia ansay nti no.
Hold on, let me do a quick translation. So he's basically telling us background about how the construction started about 2 years ago and how they face a lot of challenges because of this, the traffic and all that. But recently, because of some of the construction work, there was some flooding that's occurred around the area. They contacted the some of the engineers and they fixed it for them. Then a cause a flood, no?
Okay, this side here, baby, St. Moses Hospital, community hospital, no. A honomo side, no, omo a blockade, ana omo ye gata. Ewo, a hona gata ni hodada. Inti ombe yi high tension, no mo a blockade, honomo ye gata. Inti soni to and ninya baby and fast ye face, no, ye fear no, any washing base be a side ho. Aha, a hodie. Insu onu nya kwan access any twifa nti fie ho de say 2 house na de serious insu every feel say obi aduane krese ne niam bebre but yekohu wo mo no omo buy ene ne be kasai
nti then really cause traffic no because here ba no mehu say omaye road no omaye bi but ha no there you can see say it's still under construction. So what's causing the traffic?
One we say e kwan no senia omaye kwan no inner lanes ne dual and outer lanes. Yeah, ana sisi ya no mo every inner lanes ni bi. Ana kwan no so no joining ni bebree. Areas ni joining so bi fi bebree. Nti niema traffic ne eba no. Ufi ofanko eba won say ho easy traffic ne ho emu abi. But unya bedupoku ase a obi free mu, obi wrem. Ansana mfimfi om say hanom be yeto say whatever what I heard ni say om be yeto. Nti ha say runabout wa ha. Nti ha no so e ma hache. Ana ha so nsan nye. And I send you moye ne de no ano no nti eno de ye besere omo se omo mo ho nya ha because Niamatine say endu December de enka from Ofanko to Insawamu de Amasamai Ofanko to Amasamai ehone de enko mbewie inner lanes no ama ya net me flu but from Amasamai to Eni de Insawamu de age 4 years time Niamatine no meka no kra kire age say 4 years time sana ombewie sa outer and inner lanes ni nyina by from Ofanko eba ne de wa utimi se mfinfin no omawia besi poko ase
den na ya de ha mo pa wa ha sei
okay nia ehayen no me momu de nia ehayen titiri no ya omo water kwan ne ba bi omo nyeye no aya omo water ne kakra because ekwan de ye ya ne yie mu ana senia oman no nso empuntuo bekoso nti because ye kwan na eboa ma transportation no eye flow eye fast ana eboa economy nti se kwan ne nye de a ebe ha adwen pa inti ekwan ne de no ana omo ye ne but ye omo ma omo nsa enye ntema ye na ba bia ye ngu su no ye omo water baby won so omo ye gota na aya na access to somebody's area na say yen ye fie no aya omo mfa nwam fele ho kakra na yentimi ntra nko fie nim before because omo ye ha na ebe twifo nsuo fa ye so no so wo area ha na beba ha je se ko fa manfurum ton ana ko fa masaman ton wo kire ha instead of say ekire ha say nka outer lane ho no na outer kra to say like this place no e so mo fele ho kakra edwisu na nka yen aye wo say fifi nim no yen ye fa outer lane kra na nka ye access to the road no but wo hwe Festus aje say wo kwa to Odumase to Odumase junction ko join Abrekuma road ansa na back to Pokuase wo hu ni sa na ha adwen ti no ekwan ne de yen ka so mo ayemfo so mo yade but aya engineers no mo ndwen yen so yen kakra say so omo ye kwan gota wo baabi a na omo block baabi a omo fa nwengu baabi ne ntimi access to ye area no kakra. Why?
So he's saying that, and I want to show you, so come with me. He's saying that because of the nature of the construction of the road, they have to do it in pockets, you know, small areas, inner roads, outer roads, and all that. And because of that, sometimes they are forced to block the way. Because of the nature of the construction or the way that they're doing it, sometimes they have to block some parts of the road. Let's engage some drivers and get their experiences of how because they ply the road daily, day out. Good morning, and thank you for speaking to us. We know that this road has been under construction for 2 years. What is your experience of it?
We have suffered a lot on this road, but government is doing well. Government is doing on this road. They are busy working every day. So we want to thank the government, so they should continue.
We have reports of traffic and dusty nature of the road. Do you not experience any of those?
Traffic, we have been in the traffic for almost 2 years and we are still in it. So we are not afraid of the traffic again. What we want is that the construction is going on. Okay.
So there are no delays, nothing to report?
If you leave house early, you will be free. But if you want to sleep, you'll be in traffic. Okay.
The way also omo ye road no na nka also omo ye one side wie omo ye one side wie anso no ma be one side na omo say one side be omo bubu kwan nyina gu ho from here to Nsaom omo bubu kwan nyina gu ho ofia na o kon Nsaom ebe 20 minutes drive but say na to me di be almost 40 minutes o road no so baby a wo ko no to me go do on tem enti ade ha adwin papa amanfo track so say wo kwan no so say no ofia from here to Nsaom enya asem kitiwa in the idea hardware and at the account is a set mu ye dwuma ne sakwa so mu di machine sikwa no so na mu juri so kakra say be ya amanfo betumi aye den aye we kakra o ka no beto mu kakra be emba ni sa emba ni say potos e wo ese ka papa mean that down ofia kon so mu say obehu say cars be bra park wo kwa no so ebinu mu atoto de to form wo kwa no so enya normal. And the Juma no ye Juma better kakra.
A Juma na kasana, Juma o kwan so. So a Juma no e o kwan so yi. Say your friend say, one say e kwan ani. So ana cars so adoso. Enipa no so adoso. Nti wo mu nya ne say na wo pen ntem no. Nti esre passengers ene omo ka mo omo kokuro mu no omo nya ntobo ase.
Ye dey driver bi mu kasa ya omo say e kwan no say na etie ni say say omo ka no kre.
E kwan de so omo ye ni nti eden ya be se ka nti wo driver na kita ka no nya ntobo ase so omo ye kwan no nti edu ba bi na porto so anu atobo na bibia e pepepe porto so ndi omo go so ba bi wo mo fele ba bi won so a nso to na san sei nti oh delay traffic ni there so far so omo ye kwan de eden ya delay beba mu nti esere passengers ene omo kokuro mu ye soro mo se omo nya ntobo ase bibia be yie enkopim be 2 years there na ye dam 120.
reports that we are getting indicate that the people here are happy that the construction is ongoing. However, they think that they could be doing better. For example, they could have completed one complete stretch before moving on to the other side. They could factor in the residents or how they can easily move around when they want to block the gutters and other parts that lead into residential areas. And they could be watering the roads more to reduce the dust in the air because it has some health implications. But ultimately, the traffic, they say they're used to it now, it's normal. Even without the construction, before it started, the traffic situation was also bad. So they're happy that at least the construction is going on, and they're just pleading that they can speed it up and complete it as soon as possible. So from here on this Ofanko and Sawam stretch, my name is Sweetie Abochi for Joy News. Well, hopefully that construction project will be completed as soon as possible for commuters to heave a sigh of relief when plying that road. Now let's turn our focus to HIV and AIDS. Ghana's recorded 34,000 new HIV infections in the first 9 months of this year, raising serious concerns about the country's progress in tackling the epidemic. Now, despite numerous interventions, it looks like the numbers keep going up. With just 14 days to mark World AIDS Day, let's talk to Ghana's AIDS Network. It's Ghana HIV and AIDS Network on what they're doing differently to stem this alarming tide. In the studio with me this morning is the president for the network, Ernest Amwabeng-Otin, and we also have Gladys Equite. Gladys is Monitoring and Evaluation Officer for the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Let me start with you, Ernest. 34,000. That's an alarming number. But you have been out there engaging people, creating platforms for people to even engage with you so they can get proper education on all that. I see you're wearing a T-shirt about World AIDS Day. So just to start the conversation, what is the status of HIV and AIDS right now as we speak?
Okay, thank you very much, and a very good morning to our viewers. Yes, if you look at the statistics, things are not looking too good for us as a country.
Yeah.
And we say this because of the global commitment towards ending AIDS by 2030. So there are some global targets that countries are supposed to meet. And currently, as a country, we are not on target, and that is worrying. So for the first 9 months of this year, we had about 35,000 people newly diagnosed. So let me
34,000
yes.
is newly diagnosed.
So let me explain.
Yes, please.
Let me explain. There's a difference between new infections and newly diagnosed. So this 34,000 that was put out by the program manager of the National AIDS Control Program actually refers to newly diagnosed.
Okay.
So these are people who may have been living with the virus some 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, but are being diagnosed for the very first time. So these are newly diagnosed persons living with HIV.
Okay.
If you look at the data for the year 2023, the estimates are that new infections, that the people who were getting the virus for the very first time was about 17,740. Those were new infections. But then this 34,000 actually refers to newly diagnosed.
So what are the factors driving the high rates of infection, whether newly diagnosed or new infections? What are the factors that is, what are the factors that are contributing to the rise in the numbers?
Well, I think that, at some point, we just took our legs off the pedal and things started slowing down. Some decade and more ago, there were campaigns, there were programs all over. So people were really conscious of the presence of the disease.
In fact, when I was in high school, I was an HIV/AIDS ambassador.
Very good.
So we had groups, HIV/AIDS groups, where you talk to people.
The school alert program, yes.
We don't see that anymore.
Exactly. So because of that, we have a whole new crop of young people who are growing up and who have next to nothing knowledge about HIV and AIDS. So That lack of knowledge is contributing. Number two, the presence of antiretroviral drugs has now ensured that people who are infected go on treatment. So when they go on treatment, they stay healthy, very normal. Okay, no symptoms, nothing showing. So because of that, people are getting complacent. People don't even believe that the disease really exists. These days, when we go out and we talk about HIV, people go like, is this still around? Is it still there? So people are getting complacent because now persons living with HIV are not showing those symptoms that we used to see those years, where people will emaciate, they become lean, they will show skin rashes and all of that. Because of the presence of antiretroviral medications, people are showing less. And so people are just, relegating the disease to the background. Meanwhile,
dangerous.
Which is very, very dangerous. Meanwhile, it is really present.
Gladys, I'm sure in your engagement with people, whether young and old, when you go out there as a monitoring and evaluation officer, when you hear the stories that come out, what do you think is the reason that people have become, should I say, lackadaisical about the disease now? And what should we be doing to amplify the call for people to to use protection, use condom? It used to be ABC, there's abstinence, there's be faithful, there's condom, and there's so many other strategies. So what's the disconnect there, and how do we stand in the gap?
As Mr. Ennis said early on, people have become complacent. People are not doing what they are supposed to do because there's treatment. At first, there was no treatment.
Yeah.
And people are also, we still know that stigma and discrimination is still there. And if you are to tell somebody you are HIV positive or maybe even reacted to a test, everybody looks at you in a certain way. And you wouldn't want to be looked in that way. So they don't even come out to say it. Nobody wants to go to the clinic, even for their ART treatment, just for the stigma that is attached to it.
Yeah.
And people are also in denial. So you are positive, you are not going for your drugs, and you are also not abstaining, you are also not protecting yourselves and your loved ones. The disease is spreading. The disease is spreading.
Enes, talk to me about the 95, 95, 95. Is it target's goal?
Yes.
And realistically, where we are as a country, are we inching close to achieving that 95, 95, 95? Which is the global target for everyone.
Yes.
As a country, where are we on that tangent?
Well, as a country, we are not doing too well
Okay,
at the
first,
moment.
for the sake of our audience, talk to us about what the 95, 95, 95 is before we talk about where we are as a country.
Okay. So these targets are targets that the UNAIDS has set for the whole world. That if we want to eliminate HIV by 2030, make sure that at least 95% of people living with HIV in your country get tested. Make sure that at least 95% of people who are living with HIV get tested. Now, when you test, don't stop there. Make sure that at least 95% of those you test are put on treatment. That means you give them ART medication. And when you give them the ART medication, don't stop there. Make sure that 95% of those who are putting on medication achieve viral suppression. That means that the amount of viral load in their system comes down drastically. And there's a good reason why getting the viral suppression is very important. When you get HIV and you are put on medication and you stay on treatment and you become virally suppressed, you then reach a stage where when we test you, we are unable to detect the virus in you again. Even though the virus will still be present, they will be dormant. So when we test you, we will not see any active virus in your system.
That doesn't mean they are not there.
That doesn't mean they're not there. But the good news is that at that point, you cannot transmit the virus to another person.
Okay. Hence, 95, 95, 95.
Exactly.
95 are tested, 95 are on antiretroviral drugs, 95 of them achieve viral suppression.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the viral suppression Let me repeat that.
Okay.
When you get to viral suppression, you're unable to pass on the virus to other people. That is why we have what we call discordant couples. We have couples where one is positive and one is negative, but they're able to live together peacefully, no issues. They are able to have children, and the children also come out HIV negative.
Okay.
Because of all these protections that are put in place. So achieving viral suppression is very, very important. And that's why the 95, 95, 95 is key. Okay. Now, as a country, we're not doing well. Our data from 2023 shows that we are testing only 65% of the people who are supposed to be tested.
Deficits of about 30%.
Yes, about 35%. So if you look at in real figures, those who have been tested are 334,000. That's the number that has been tested. So the number that is yet to be tested, or who do not know their status, is about 100,000. So there are over 100,000 people in the system who have HIV but are not aware. And they're not aware because we're not getting them to test them. Now, of those that we have tested, the 65% that we have tested, we have been able to put only 69% on treatment. And again, like Gladys said, some are in denial. So they have been tested, they are positive, but they say, no, it cannot be true. This is a spiritual disease.
Their prophets will heal them.
Their prophets will heal them. So they will prefer to go to a prayer camp. They will prefer to go to a herbal center.
Yeah.
So many of them have even gone off treatment. And it's a major issue for us. So we have been able to put only 69% on treatment. The rest, they have become defaulters. Now, out of those on treatment, we have been able to put 89% of them have achieved viral suppression.
Oh, wow.
Which is encouraging.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is encouraging. That one is getting better. So we are hoping that when we check the data this year, we are going to see some improvement, because I'm aware that the Ghana AIDS Commission and the National AIDS Control Program, being aware of this situation since the beginning of this year, have actually put in place some strategies to increase testing. And that's why it's not surprising that for the first 9 months of this year, we now saw this newly diagnosed figure of 35,000 people. So it's like these strategies, I believe, are working. Okay. We are getting more people now to test to know their status. So I'm very confident that by the time we end this year, these figures would have, seen a marked improvement.
Okay.
Would have come up.
In terms of expanding the testing, I mean, the self-test is also, I think it's been helpful because most people now would like to test. So how do you get the data, though? Gladys, I'll come to you in a bit. How do you get the data when someone, for example, if I get the kits and I test for myself, how do you get that data that at least Sweetie Abochi has tested? Yeah, good. So what we do is that when we give you the kits, that's the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network, we are doing community distribution of the kits. So when we give you the kits, we actually take your telephone number. Okay. And after a week or two, we do a follow-up call to see whether you use the kit or not. And if you used it, what was the experience like? We don't ask you for your status, no. Okay. But there are some who voluntarily tell us that when I tested, the test kit is such that if it's if it's non-reactive, you see just one line when you test, just like the pregnancy test.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
If you see double lines, then it means it's reactive. Yeah. So some will tell us that, when I tested, I saw these 2 lines. Then our volunteers will now take them to a health facility where there will be a confirmatory test, and then we can get the data.
Gladys, would you say that the self-testing is yielding the results that, it's part of your objectives to achieve? Would you say it's yielding results?
I would say it is yielding results. So we use the Ghana Information Management System, the GIMS, a digital app that we use to collect the data. Okay. And since the piloting last year, we were able to put over 200 people on treatment. That's besides those who decided not to go for treatment. And this year, we've been able to put about 54, just the first quarter of this year, we've been able to put 54 people on treatment. And the year hasn't ended, and this is just the first quarter. Yeah. So imagine the second, third, and fourth quarters. And self-test is a private test. It ensures confidentiality. it ensures that nobody is going to see your results if you do not go out to tell the person that I was reactive or not. So since it is a private thing, and we are also encouraging that testing rates goes high in Ghana, we increase the testing rate in Ghana for people to know their status. Okay. Self-testing is achieving its goal in Ghana.
All right.
Yeah,
please don't forget that I want some of it.
Oh, yes. We'll
make the test.
We'll make it available.
Yes, I was going to add to what Gladys said. If you check the National AIDS Control Program, their data, last year, for the first 9 months, they had 23,000 people newly diagnosed.
Okay.
If you check this year, the first 9 months, we have 34, actually it's around 35,000. Yeah. So about 11,000, 12,000 difference. Now, with the self-tests, when people test and they get to know their results, some then on their own privately go to a health facility. They don't tell us that when I tested, it was this or that. They themselves on their own go for a confirmatory test. Okay. So we suspect that. Last year, we gave as much as 140,000 kits. Yeah. So we believe that this difference, some may be those who tested privately, got to know their story for the first time. And so the self-test is really working.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So now let's talk about the World AIDS Day. I think it's about 14 days to go. So what are you doing as Ghana HIV and AIDS Network? What are you doing? What activities do you have coming up? Let's tell us everything, how we can come on board and participate and also mark World AIDS Day. I'm sure the health walk is coming up on Saturday. Is it? Gladys, tell me about it.
Okay. We are quite excited about the health walk. Yeah. That's coming on 23rd November, this very Saturday. Yeah. And Ghana, we will still be doing our activations towards the World AIDS Day. We'll still be doing our education. We'll still be sharing our test kits. And we also share condoms in addition to the test kits because we need to protect ourselves. Yeah. So this is quite a new one that Ghana is bringing on board. We want to bring about a social contract rally. We are in an election year. We are doing a health work in preparation of the World AIDS Day. But because we are in an election year, we want to know what our political leaders have for us. Now, we know what we want. So we are telling them, in these points that we want, these are the ones that we are looking at. What can you do for us? If you come into power, or even you are not in power, but you can still do something for us. You are the leaders, you have power to change things. You have all the resources to make things happen. So what are you going to do for us? So this is not just a health walk. This is a walk ending in a rally. And,
okay. Yeah. And in a bid to get our political leaders to enter a social contract with you, Garnet.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, in terms of what they are going to do differently.
Exactly.
If for nothing at all, help reduce the numbers. Huh?
Exactly.
Okay. So is this the first activity to mark or to begin you know, the activities that will mark World AIDS Day, or this is a isolated event happening on Saturday?
No. Actually, the Ghana AIDS Commission organized a launch of the World AIDS Day on 1st November at the Accra Mall, and we're all there in our numbers with a candlelight procession. And to add to that, we Ghanaians on our part are organizing this health walk and rally.
Okay.
So it's the first time we are going to see something like this, where all the political parties have been invited and they've all accepted to come. NPP has accepted to come, NDC, CPP. For CPP, the flag bearer herself has assured us that she's coming. LPG, the same thing. The flag bearer says he himself is coming. So we're going to offer a very big platform to all these political parties. And we are expecting more than 2,000 people to participate in this health walk and rally.
Okay.
So on the day, we are asking our political leaders that there are some 6 key issues. The first one is domestic resource mobilization. At the moment, almost all the funds for HIV programming is coming from the Global Fund. And this is not good enough. We need our leaders to commit our national resources to support the fight against. So domestic resource mobilization. Then triple elimination of HIV, syphilis, and hepatitis B, mother to child.
Okay.
At the moment, if you look at pregnant women who are HIV positive, out of every 100 that give birth, about 13 of them pass on the virus to their children. And this is unacceptable. Children shouldn't be coming into the world with HIV.
Because it's preventable.
It's preventable.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be coming with syphilis, hepatitis B, and all of that. So we need commitment from our leaders on that.
All right.
Then number 3, we need them to also remove levies and taxes on health commodities that are donated to us as a country. Recently, I'm sure you heard of some commodities that got stuck at the ports, and it was so unpleasant. So we need all of that. And then finally, we are hosting ICASA. That's the International Conference on AIDS and STI. Okay. It's the biggest event when it comes to HIV and AIDS in Africa. Last year, Zimbabwe hosted it. There were about 8,000 participants. Ghana is hosting it for the very first time.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much. And we want it to be a very grand event. Already the president has committed himself to supporting it, and we are so grateful to His Excellency the President. But we want future presidents to know that, yes, this is what we have committed ourselves to, and then they will support us to host it. Yeah.
Now let's give out the details of where the walk is starting from, where people can join you, what time it's even starting, and where it would end in the rally. Gladys?
Yeah.
So the walk is, as we said on the date, 23rd November 2024.
Yes, this Saturday.
We are all converging at Obra Sports, Kwame Nkrumah Circle.
Obra Sports,
Kwame
Nkrumah Circle.
Kwame Nkrumah Circle.
What time?
As early as 5 a.m.
Ooh, okay.
As early as 5 a.m. we should all be there. The sun is scorching these days. We don't want people to walk under the scorching sun. So we begin early, we end early. So through Akweje, Interchange, Liberation Circle, John Evans Atamos High Street, and then we'll end at Osekan Park. Osekan Park, that's directly adjacent to the Enterprise Life Insurance. So that is the route for the day.
And is there a number to call, just in case someone needs more information, wants to clarify some things before? So put out the number there so that they can call you.
So you can call any of these two numbers, 0260 221 462, 0260 221 462, or 0505 113302.
Okay. That there is Gladys Akwete, Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. Oh, yeah, you have a T-shirt.
Yes. Yes, we have this.
Okay, go ahead.
We have these T-shirts which we are presenting to you, and we are inviting you specially to come and walk with us on this Saturday.
Okay, that's so lovely.
Yes.
Can I take that for Ben as well?
Yes.
Ben and I.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we brought one for Ben as well.
Yes. Thank you. So you'll be seeing me on Saturday in my beautiful T-shirt.
Yes.
As we walk to mark World AIDS Day and to enter that social contract with our political leaders on what they are going to do differently for HIV and AIDS in Ghana. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you also. And we are very grateful to our partners. The Ghana Health Service is part of this program. The Ghana AIDS Commission is also part of this program. National AIDS Control Program. And Abbott is also supporting us, and we are very grateful to them for their support.
Okay, that there is Ernest Otson. There's a name before Otson. Amwabeng Otson, yes. Ernest Amwabeng Otson. And he's the president of Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. We also had Gladys Akwete, Monitoring and Evaluation for Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. And please be encouraged to test and know your status, because the only way you know is if you test. And then when you know how to better live and manage the virus. And thank you for my beautiful T-shirt. I'll be seeing you on Saturday as we walk for HIV and AIDS. There's still a lot more coming your way on the AM show. We'll be back in a bit. You're still live on the Monday edition of the AM show. Now, for our last conversation for today, let's talk about Eve by Bose. And they're launching their new headquarters right here in Accra. Now, Eve by Bose is founded by global brand leader Bozoma St. John. And they have headquarters all over the place. Accra, this is the first time we're getting it. And this is an innovative beauty and lifestyle brand specializing in premium hair extension, hair products, and so many other things. And we put all this in perspective. Someone is here in the studio with us to tell us more. I'm going to be speaking to the Vice President of Operations for Eve by Bose, Dorian Toku. Dorian, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look so camera ready. It's like action. Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so as Vice President of Operations for Eve by Bose, can you tell us what excites you most about this upcoming event? I mean, opening or launching a new headquarters here in Accra. What's so exciting about it?
It's Ghana. You know, and I think for me, being a diasporian, coming back to Ghana and being able to make some type of impact economically, community-wise, building community, that's what excites me about coming back to Ghana.
Okay, because you are Ghanaian.
Yes, I am Ghanaian, through and through Ghanaian, yes.
Right, so from operational perspective, why was Accra chosen as the brand's destination for a new headquarters? Why Accra? I know you're Ghanaian, Bose also has roots here, but
absolutely.
Why Accra?
It wasn't an operational decision.
Okay.
It was a heart decision. You know, because again, we are diasporians. I think sometimes a lot of us leave the country and don't remember that we have a responsibility to come back to contribute to Ghana. And that's why it was so important for both Bozoma and myself to, when we thought about this whole concept, or when she thought about it and we had the discussion, it was like, it only made sense to bring it back to the motherland where we define beauty, you know, and not the Europeans who define beauty for us.
Because, you know, it's really never the same.
It's never the same.
What we call beautiful and what
they
white
consider
correct. Beautiful is not the same.
It's very different.
But then again, the beauty industry is evolving every day. What is your unique selling proposition? But start from exactly what you're offering us as Ghanaians. You talked about hair products. I'm sure you're wearing some. What you're wearing is from Eve by Bose.
This is from Eve by Bose.
So tell us about the product and tell us what your unique selling proposition is.
Well, the product is infused organically with organic products from Ghana.
Okay.
So whether it's moringa, shea butter, palm kernel oil, it's all derived from here, and we infuse it into our products. So it's not just about buying your weaves or your bundles and using it a couple of times and, you know, that's it. We actually create products so it gives longevity to your hair so that you can continue to wear it. And it becomes an investment, you know.
Okay, so you're talking about products for the hair itself?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then hair extensions? Or
yes.
do you have that as well?
Yes, we have hair extensions, so bundles, closures, full wigs. And then we have shampoo, conditioner, edge control, you know.
Okay.
Yes, all
so
the good
360,
stuff.
everything beauty,
360.
Everything you need.
Correct.
Look as camera ready as Dorian looks right now in the studio. Okay, so will it be available online globally or at a retail store in Accra? Where can we, I mean, after you launch, where can we get some of these wonderful products you talk about?
So everything can be found on evebybose.com.
Okay, so it's an online platform.
Yes, it is an online platform, but we made the very intentional decision to have one retail location in the world, and that's here in Ghana. Yes. Again, just being very intentional on putting Ghana on the map and saying, hey, listen, we're here, we are not going anywhere, and we're here to service our people. Again, going back to the economy and trying to keep it circulating within the Ghanaian community.
Okay. Now, how do you see Eve by Bose redefining expectations around African beauty, or the standards, really? You can see, I don't know if you've met some of the young people who are obsessed with lightening their skin, bleaching. I don't even want to talk about the hair and all the things that we go through just to make it. What is your goal for redefining our expectations in terms of beauty by the African standard?
Having more of us at the table, right?
That's a very good answer.
Thank you. We consist of 80% of the buying market in the beauty industry when it comes to African American beauty and hair.
Yeah.
So why are we not the ones making decisions as to what it looks like, right? So we go in, we buy wigs that have the lace color that's white. Why is that? You know, there's so many shades of us. So again,
and then you have to now come and
then you have to put
and
bleach it. Then you have to add some your concealer and foundation, but you know, with Eve by Bose, we offer 3 different color lace choices, right? We have mahogany for our dark complexions. We have 2 other colors, just so we come in an array of colors. So that's what we want to do. We want to have a seat at the table to say, we're making this for us because we wear it, right?
For the African woman, the Ghanaian woman, in fact, for the girl right here in Accra who's thinking about entering the beauty industry, how challenging has it been for you to penetrate the market here? And what advice would you give someone who thinks what you're doing is worthy of emulation? I want to try. What's your advice?
Just start. Just start, because you never know where it's going to lead you. Start, have a plan, and ask the right questions.
Okay.
The answers are out there. It's not easy. Nothing worth having is easy, or does it come easy? So, but it is attainable.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doreen. Before I let you go, I do know that Boz has, is it an initiative or a program where she empowers women? I've listened to her a couple of times. I know Sereno was there some time ago. What is the most empowering thing about being part of this community, this industry? I'm talking about Eve by Bose, and in fact, everything else you do all around the world. What is the most empowering thing about it for you?
Being fearless in your skin, just showing up unapologetically who you are, you know, not trying to conform to this way of existing because that's the norm. I think that's what breaks barriers, when you are authentically you.
Thank you so much. Is there a contact number? Is there, maybe you can retrace the website so that people don't forget?
Yes.
It's
www.evebybose.com.
Okay. Is there a number to call?
We don't have a number just yet. We will be launching next week. So you'll see billboards throughout Accra. And evebybose.com is where you can find all the information.
Okay.
Every social media handle is Eve by Bose.
Every social media handle?
Every social media.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Doreen Toku, Vice President of Operations for Eve by Bose. And don't forget, they're launching the new headquarters right here in Accra. And you'll be seeing a lot of them in Accra as you go about your daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Just before we end the show, I want to take you right here to Parliament, where there's a press conference. I think it's Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa addressing the people. Let's go and listen to what he has to say.
Buffer Stock Company is Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab. He is also the MPP's parliamentary candidate for the Pusiga constituency. The board of the National Food Buffer Stock Company is chaired by the MPP's national organizer, Mr. Henry Nana Boache. It is most instructive to note that the importer, Lamens Investments Africa Limited, was single-sourced by NAFCO in what has become typical of all sweetheart deals under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Lamens has no proven credible track record. Lamens was actually incorporated on 20th July 2020, few months before it was given this sweetheart deal. Its directors are David Ajefi Mensah and Simon Ejay. This company, Lamens, is notorious for offering unwholesome food to senior high school students. A 2021 Auditor General's report exposed Lamens for endangering the health of students with their contaminated food. They were also engaged in undersupplying food items. See pages 133 and 142 of the 2021 Auditor General's report. And we have brought a copy here for your own perusal. So Lamens, this is not the first time. They are notorious for contaminating food and serving that food, which is not wholesome, to our SHS students. Ladies and gentlemen, Lamens should therefore have been blacklisted as far back as 2021 if our institutions were working in the national interest. It is significant to point out that Lamens has admitted to its wrongdoing and agreed to pay an administrative fine of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Indeed, additional intercepted documents confirm that Lamens paid a 50% deposit of the fine to the Food and Drugs Authority amounting to 50,000 Ghana cedis. It was received by the FDA on January 5, 2024. We will be making available to you evidence of the payment and the Lamens letter admitting to its wrongdoing. Ladies and gentlemen, FDA insiders say that the untouchable Lamens has since refused to pay the remaining fine. Can you believe that? After endangering the life of our students, all they have suffered is a slap on the wrist, 50,000 Ghana cedis, peanuts, and they are even refusing to pay the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, an intercepted internal memo from the Ashanti Regional FDA, dated 29 December 2023, a copy of which is available here for you, reveals that initially the FDA intended to fine Lamens 150,000 Ghana cedis, and then 2, dispose the 15,000 bags which had been repackaged at the time of the alert, and then 3, issue an immediate disease order to stop further repackaging. However, intense political pressure thwarted the FDA's original plans, and we have incontrovertible evidence to that effect. Colleagues in the media, note that the Ashanti Region Police Command, in an intercepted letter, a copy of which we shall make available to you, dated 21st December 2023, signed by J.J. Boy, Superintendent in charge of crime in the Ashanti region, as he then was, wrote to the Ashanti Regional FDA Director requesting assistance in conducting an examination on the repackaged rice. Shockingly, even before the test results will arrive from FDA Accra, a reckless order came from above that the repackaged rice be distributed to all senior high schools. How callous can some politicians be? The FDA eventually submitted the test results, also known as certificates of analysis, on the 6th of February 2024. The intercepted copies of these FDA examination results are here and will be made available to you all, so that you know that everything we are speaking about today is not conjecture. It's not a figment of our imagination. We have the unimpeachable, incontrovertible evidence, which we will share with you. Go to the FDA, go to all of these institutions, and do your own verification. We have signed, certified copies for your own journalistic work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, irrefutable investigations show that the expired and contaminated repackaged bags of rice were already distributed to schools on the 1st and 2nd of February 2024, 4 clear days before the FDA test results arrived. If authorities had waited for the FDA test results, the repackaged Moshosho rice would have all been destroyed and not fed to our SHS students. We have brought here evidence of the distribution.
We'll still bring you that in our subsequent bulletins. In fact, they will come up straight on Joy News Desk with Faustina Safo. But that's how we are wrapping up for the AM show right here on the Joy News channel. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I did this with Benjamin Akakpo. But I want to shout out our production assistant, Adobe Asare. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday, girl. We are wishing you God's unmerited favor and ending happiness and wealth. May you be blessed in all spheres of your life. Happy birthday, girl. Adobe Asare there on your screens. And looking really good. Happy birthday. Right, I cannot go without reminding you that on Saturday, make a date with me and so many beautiful, ambitious women at the AMA Auditorium from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's the Girl Get Up Seminar 3.0, the 3rd edition. You don't want to miss it. Stay for Faustina Safo. She serves you Joy News Desk.